So welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to round 2 of the British Drift Championship 2018. We're here at Teesside Autodrome celebrating 10 years of UK drifting. Eddie Power, Pro-Am competition underway today. How's it looking?
Yeah, Ian, we are here and it is, 10 years of competitive drifting in Teesside. It is going to be incredible. A little bit of practice underway this morning. The guys getting to grips with the circuit here. A lot of these drivers will have massive amounts of experience on this track. However, things are just hotting up as always, people raising their game, and we're just going to take a little walk through the pits, take a look at some of the machinery, and we're going to lead you guys out to the start line and have a quick look at the track as well. So, coming up to Jonas Lundy's Pro-Am vehicle. We've seen Jonas compete in the IADC in the past, and you can see the guys just taking a little bit of a break. They've been getting that car ready as well. But you're going to talk to me through some of the cars that you know a little bit better than I do here on the Pro-Am grid. And we're going to start with Peter Hayden's Nissan Laurel.
Yeah, Peter Hayden's Nissan Laurel there, running a V8, I do believe. Different car, don't really see Nissan Laurels being used in UK competition, more of a traditional Japanese style car, but you know what, good for Peter Hayden, doing really, really well, driving in Pro as well this weekend, so that guy has a big task on his hands. Just coming up now to Jack Shanahan's old chassis, Eddie, piloted by Artie Mullen as well, now piloted by a UK driver, looking good out there, these guys, really stepping up their builds, and as you can see, Neil Bamford's SR20 powered S14, this car always looking super cool out on circuit.
Yeah, I have to say, really loving the look of Neil Bamford's car, rocking the SR20 power, no major, engine swap in this. Relatively, steady power, not pushing down massive horsepower, but just keeping it simple, and this car really hooks up for him. And as you can see, if you're watching, we take a quick look back, how cool is that car? Nice and low, dirt nasty low, as they say, and yeah, really clean looking car. So, moving on through the paddock, and we can see, tell me a little bit more about this S14, no names on the doors.
Yeah, no names on the door, but this is actually Paul Cunnington's car. So this guy won round 2 of Drift Cup up at Three Sisters Circuit in Leeds. This guy then automatically gets the opportunity to come to BDC, so he's gunning to get his BDC Pro-Am licence. Runs a JZ under the bonnet of that car. Really confident driver, someone to look out for, and you know what, very nice guy, like most of our Pro-Am drivers are already.
And that's the big thing that you'll see throughout the BDC Championship, that the Drift Cup Series is an opportunity for guys to qualify into the Pro-Am stages, make a name for themselves, and we often see drivers progressing from Drift Cup into the Pro-Am competition and sometimes making it into the Pro event on Sunday as well. Moving along, a couple of nice looking cars here. Talk us through them, Ian.
Yeah, as you can see, a returning BDC driver, running RB25 under the bonnet, nice, absolutely immaculately prepared S13, and moved on to the Irish contingency part of the Pro-Am pits here. Eddie, you can see John O'Hare, Hickey's car there. These guys muscling down. The Irish really coming in force again this weekend, Eddie.
Yeah, I mean, look, some of these Irish drivers almost unstoppable. John O'Hare, that car has just been freshly reworked by the guys in Quinn M Sport. This car formerly owned by Wayne Curran, who recently did some work on my own car, my own road car, now being piloted by Richard Hickey, and an awesome, awesome car. And, that car always kept in just pristine condition. So it'll be interesting to see how it gets on with new ownership, and obviously, guys trying to get to grips with learning new cars and how they handle out on track as well. So we're coming up to where Kirsty Widrington is normally pitted. She's out just doing some practice at the moment. Didn't have the best of luck at round 2 of IDC last weekend, but she's back here at the British Drift Championship, hoping to have a successful weekend. And we've seen some really impressive driving from Kirsty at times, and she can really put it up to some of the best in the business when she's on form. So hopefully we will see, the stronger side of Kirsty this weekend. She's coming here to, as we say, get over a bad weekend in IDC last weekend. Now we're moving on to where the team Driftworks are pitted. We will see a lot of these guys, Martin Richards, they will be out for tomorrow's Pro competition. But you can just get a quick look at the guys just cleaning up those cars and making them look really, really nice.
Yeah, and also not to fail to mention, newly sponsored Driftworks driver driving the R33, Richard's old car, Tessa Whittock. So Tessa this weekend driving in BDC Pro-Am. You guys might know her, travelling all around Europe. That girl absolutely killing Queen of Europe, out there slaying all those other female drivers, doing a very, very good job and representing the UK in a big way. And now, yeah, landed that Driftworks deal, work wheels, that car looking absolutely killer. So we're just making our way now over to the start line. You can see a lot of our guys queuing up. And look who I can see, Eddie, right in front of me, Lee Scott. This guy, Eddie, right now is just unstoppable.
Yeah, Lee Scott, a man that needs no introduction at the moment. He is similar to Dwayne McKeever, unbeaten this season in Ireland and in England. He's coming here this weekend, fresh off a podium win, topping qualifying at round 1 of IDC, winning the event. Topping qualifying at round 1 of BDC, winning the event. Topping qualifying at round 2 of IDC just last weekend, winning the event. Can anybody beat Lee Scott? You can just see him sitting on the line here. He's been out for morning practice, looking confident as always, and we haven't yet seen Scott break into the pro event. He hasn't been able to, he doesn't have the budget for the tyres to be doing IDC, BDC, and then going into the pro competition. I really would like to see that this weekend, but only time will tell. Some more Irish drivers making the trip over. Tomás Falvey. Tomás suffering a lot of damage to the car last weekend on a very unforgiving track in Dunleary at the IDC, and he'll be hoping to have a good weekend here. Saying this morning that he feels very fast out on circuit, and he's worried about actually having too much speed if he manages to qualify into the battle section of the competition. Peter Hayden on the line, Philip Hayden, excuse me.
Yeah, young Philip Hayden there, driving his brother's car. That car got Peter Hayden into the pro class last year, and you know what? It got Philip Hayden out of Drift Cup and into BDC. That guy can really pedal. As you can see behind him, Nick Brady. This guy, if you're a regular BDC live stream watcher, you'll know that Nick Brady has put on some unbelievably good shows here for us at BDC, especially going door to door with Danny Grundy last year, smashing glass, taking names. So really, really good to see Nick Brady back in a car that seems to be working. And you know what, I just hope it holds together, because he is definitely a good driver to watch. Just coming up to the start line now, Eddie. Two guys just going to make off for some practice runs. Not a lot of time left for these guys in practice. They'll soon be heading out for qualifying.
Yeah, exactly. We've just, as you say, we've made it to the start line, and as the camera just pans around, you can just see what faces these guys. A chicane for the lead driver, just to slow him down. A big long run up into a very fast first corner, and you've driven this track, Ian. What do these guys face when they leave the line?
You know what, it's a very, very strange initiation here at Teesside. A lot of guys will tell you that it's not like drifting any other track. It's a very banked corner. So as you send the car in, the car naturally wants to slow down. But the aim of the game is to get the car nice and high on the bank, stay on the throttle, and ride that high bank all the way around. That high line carries you all the way into the first hairpin, and then on out, it's nice door-on-door action. Very good, entertaining, door-to-door track.
And that's the most important thing, what you've just mentioned there. After that very long, high banked section of the track, we come into a very, very tight and exciting technical section of the track where door-on-door action is just in abundance. Every battle, this track is just set up perfectly for it, and we're expecting to see some real hot action later on this afternoon.
Yeah, exactly that, Eddie. So, Eddie, that is it from us. These guys are going to finish practice. We're going to go up to the tower now and head out for qualifying. From me and Eddie, we'll see you soon. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to round 2 of the British Drift Championship 2018. We are here live from Teesside Autodrome. My name is Ian Waddington, and always I'm joined by Eddie Power. Eddie, nice to have you back, dude.
Thank you very much. Great to be back, and great to be celebrating 10 years of competitive drifting in the United Kingdom, back where it all started here in Teesside Autodrome. This place is absolutely spectacular for drifting. We've seen some magical moments over the year, Ian, and do you know what? I'm predicting we might see a few more here this weekend as well. We're going to get started with the Pro-Am section of the competition. And you know what? Things are hotting up. It's only round 2. long break since round 1, and these guys are coming here to put on a show and try and get themselves back into championship contention and get themselves into a good position for the rest of the season.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, heating up, action early on a track, a lot of spills, a lot of frills, a lot of guys pushing really, really hard in just practice. So what we're going to expect this afternoon, some really, really good close door-on-door action. But to get things underway, obviously we've got to go to our judges today. Head judge Kieran Hines on the judging panel. Also we have David Egan, and joining us in the judging tower this weekend is Ben Manuel. So we're going to shoot over to Dave Egan, and he's going to tell you exactly what they're going to be looking for this weekend.
Thanks, Ian. Obviously, Teesside needs no introduction. It is really the home of UK drifting, but it is quite a technical and tricky track to get right. To actually drift around the circuit in a practice day or a regular day here, not the biggest challenge in the world. But what we're looking for is a basic criteria here that we can divide these guys between that score of 100. So a maximum of 100 can be aimed for, and we're going to explain how that's going to be created. Essentially, the first thing we want to talk about is their initiation. So when they're coming from the start line, they want to be on full throttle. We essentially want the first time they decelerate the car, and not a lot of deceleration here at all at clip 1, is to be on the initiation. So it's a weight transfer, clutch kick, or handbrake entry. The weight transfer and clutch kick will score higher, but we don't want to see too much big drags of the handbrake on the initiation. As you'll see, there's also 3 cones laid out in a formation of 3 to 2 to 1 for that initiation point. We want to see drivers initiating as early as possible also. If they initiate early, they're going to score more points if they can cleanly do it. They go through clip 1. The interesting thing that we've changed this year is it's not visible on your track map, but there are 3 lines painted on the first corner on 2 different sections. So essentially what we're saying to the drivers is we want to see their front wheels pass close enough and above those 3 painted white lines. They're just 3 sort of lines you'd see on a main road. But essentially it gives us a reference point from the judging panel here to see exactly where that car is positioned, because where we are, it can become quite a sliver of tarmac and not as wide. So essentially if they follow that guidance, it's going to bring them to the edge of the circuit at clip 2. We don't want guys dropping wheels. We want to just get 2 wheels cleanly through clip 2. And then you'll see another set of 3 marked lines on the ground. So essentially they want to keep the front wheels close to those, and it'll guide them perfectly as they move along to clip 3. 3, they're going to decelerate. It's the only deceleration zone on the track, so they can use a little bit of handbrake, front brake, and what we prefer to see is a little bit of angle to slow themselves down. Stay wide to the edge of the white line on the circuit, and that'll get them perfectly into clipping point 4. That brings us on to the next section of the track, which is a lot slower. So it's a transition from 4 to 5. We don't want to see huge angle there. We just want to see it being very fluid. And it's about taking a wide line out on the second hairpin just for the first third of it, then coming away from that to head towards clip 6, and then it's full throttle to stay in the middle of the track as they come across the finish line, not too far over, cutting the corner off, which would be essentially a bad thing for battles later on. That's what's going to score them the perfect 100 in, and a lot of these guys with a lot of experience on this track, so we're expecting some good qualifying runs from the off. We will be judging it quite harshly, given the fact that a lot of drivers have practiced and done this track before, and obviously to separate the grid also.
Thank you, Dave. Yeah, so unfortunately no virtual track layout this afternoon, but we do have the judging criteria, so I will go through the judging criteria with you quickly, as you can bring that up on our screen. So each driver will complete 2 non-consecutive scored runs. The highest score after both runs will count as a driver's final score. Each run is scored out of a maximum of 100 by our 3 judges. The average score from all 3 judges will count as a driver's run score. Drivers will be deducted points for momentary loss of drift, understeer, incorrect line, dropping 1 to 3 wheels off the designated circuit, and significant contact. Drivers will be rewarded for extreme entry, increased speed, fluidity, snappy transitions, correct judging line, precision, proximity to the outer clipping zones. Drivers will be scored a 0 for complete loss of drift, spinning out, dropping 4 wheels, extreme understeer, driving a section of the course. So there we go, Eddie. Looks like we are all set to go for qualifying this afternoon.
Yes, and you know, we start off with qualifying, and as you say, these guys, they only have 2 very short runs, 30 seconds to get themselves into the main event, which will happen later on this afternoon. It's twin battles. That's where drifting really gets exciting. 2 cars out on track at the same time, and you know, put up against each other to try and determine a winner. But we got to start with qualifying, and as you say, these drivers are going to be scored out of 100 by our 3 judges, hoping to get into the top 32.
So we've got to go to your friend though first, Eddie, I do believe, before we go to track action.
Oh, yeah, he's not back, is he?
I think so, yeah.
Right, okay.
Yes, guys, I am back. I've got a slightly better haircut, a slightly smaller t-shirt, and I'm quite a lot more insecure after reading some of the comments left at the BDC round 1 by those horrible cyber bullies. I spent a couple of nights thinking about it, a little bit of tears were shed, but I've come back stronger and I'm ready, because there's a lot of black fans out there, a lot of black lovers that are going to support me, Nathan Black, in the pursuit of becoming your hero here at the BDC round 2 in Middlesbrough. Back to you.
Interesting, Eddie.
Yeah, look, I'm not really sure what the relevance of him is, but, you know.
He's here nevertheless.
Dave seems
Eddie.
to want them to be involved. So
yep, Dave enjoys him. So it does look like we're going to go down to the start line for our first driver of the day, and it will be a female Pro-Am driver, Eddie. It will be Jolene McDonald, and Jolene McDonald will be driving a bit of an iconic car. Jolene McDonald will be peddling an ex-pro car previously owned by Mike Marshall of M&M Engineering. This car...
Yeah, well, it's a team-owned car, a Liberty Walk wide-body kit on it with a forged 2JZ under the bonnet, an absolutely spectacular build. Jolene coming here, you know, looking to make a name for herself, planning to rub some doors and prove herself in the BDC, and you know what, we're expecting big things. First car out on track, she's representing Fast Or, Turbo Smart, Max ECU and Westlake tyres. She says she crashes a lot and falls over a fair bit too, but hoping to put on a show for the UK fans here as she leaves the line for the first competitive run of the day. What can Jolene McDonald do?
Well, look at this, Eddie. Big, almost overcooks it. Drops a wheel on initiation, and you know what? Completely overcooks her first qualifying run. Starts to get into it, Eddie, but you know what? Not looking good for Jolene McDonald so far.
No, I think that may go down as a 0. Now, just getting, just taking the rest of the lap just to get used to the circuit out here. Would have had some laps in practice this morning, but not what you wanted. A very aggressive start to the run, possibly overly aggressive, and maybe just, you know, some built-up adrenaline as she sat on the line. It's a long delay for these guys as they, from the time when they finish practice to when they go and then start getting gridded for their first run. We await the judges' scores just to come through to make it official, but it looks as though, or you know, I feel as though that could be a 0, or certainly a very heavy deduction for the massive error there in entry.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what, for me, Jolene McDonald, first year this year in Drift Cup, she's finished 3rd, I do believe, the other weekend at Three Sisters in Leeds. Got the opportunity to come here this weekend and try and gain a BDC Pro-Am licence. So you see, scoring a 29 there, so that was put her in first position for now. But yeah, 29, so work to be done at the moment there for Jolene. But you know what, yeah, she's a very aggressive driver. She's come out, she's going to want to lay it all down the line. Up on the line next, Eddie, is Paul Cunnington. This guy is the winner of round 2 of Drift Cup. JZ under the bonnet, S14.
Yeah, you can see nice weight transfer from Paul Cunnington as doing a nice job. And look at this, really high line from Paul as he now just throws it down to the inside, puts that car back on the power, and a very steady first run. And this is what we always say, we want to see a good steady first run, get a score on the board in, and then on your second run, when the pressure's off, try and push that a little bit further. And Paul showing just why he's making it to the podiums.
Yeah, very, very good drive there from Paul Cunnington. Good to see this guy progressing through Drift Cup. He's a very, very talented driver. And yeah, we wait for the score to drop in from our judges.
And of course, Paul drifting for 5 years, so not a newbie to the sport by any means. Also into downhill mountain biking, so loves a little bit of speed. All the way from Tamsworth, and a 77. Not a bad run for just our second driver out on track. And Paul setting the standard nice and high as we move on to Tessa Whittock, the business development manager from Worcestershire.
Worcester.
It's difficult. I can understand now why you struggle when you come to Ireland.
Exactly. So yeah, off the line, as Eddie says, Tessa Whittock, the newly sponsored Driftworks driver, driving Martin Richards' former R33 JZ powered Nissan Skyline.
And of course, if I'm not mistaken, the other half of Martin Richards.
Yeah, the other half of the Martin Richards. And this girl not scared of competition driving. Oh, an understeer there for Tess as she just comes off 7.3. Tessa Whittock, very, very competent driver. You often see her out in Europe competing in Queen of Europe champion, always on the podium.
And I have to say, that run was looking really competitive up until that point, Dean. Very unfortunate and an error, but you know what? I think Tessa's going to go back to the pits, get her head straight, and go back out for the second lap and put in a big one, because that looked like it was shaping up to be a real contender there. And unfortunate there, but we just see if a score comes in, I'd imagine a heavy penalisation, yeah, from the judges, and a score of 26 for for Tessa Whitlock.
Yeah, so a 26th for Tessa, work to be done in her second run, but she will get over those first run nerves. So on the line now, Jamie Stevens, a car that we talked about earlier on. Eddie, quite an infamous chassis being driven here by Jamie Stevens.
Yeah, of course, this car previously owned and driven by Jack Shanahan, and I don't think he needs any introductions, but a very capable car. What can Jamie Stevens do? Is he attempt to put his own mark on this vehicle, and big weight transfer entry into the first corner, not maybe getting as high onto the bank as the judges were hoping for, but doing enough to get this car around the circuit, and that's what's important. Yeah,
getting a score on the board, like you say, Eddie, not high on the bank like the judges asked for. You could see the front wheels of Jamie's car just dropping below those 3 white lines that the judges set out there for where they wanted the front half of the car to be. So, you know, it's a score, but a low one in my eyes.
Those white lines that the judges have marked on the track, a very good visual representation of where they want those vehicles to be throughout the weekend as they come into that first corner, nice and high on the bank. As you say, from our viewing perspective, it can be quite difficult to see just how far out those drivers are. Of course, you're watching at home on live stream, you will see a good angle of that and exactly what the judges are looking at, and if you're here obviously in person, you're right on top of it. So the score comes in for Jamie Stevens and a 28, so with the exception of Paul Cunnington, quite low scoring here so far, Ian.
Yeah, a lot of nerves. Like you say, Eddie, a big break between round 1 and round 2, and a lot of drivers saying they're making changes to their cars, you know, not getting the seat time that they wanted because they were worried about breaking their cars in between the rounds. So, you know what, I just feel, in my eyes, a little bit of unnerve, you know, and a little, just the guys coming back a little bit rusty. Apart from the Irish guys that have obviously been driving non-stop recently, they're, you know, a lot to be put up. So we look to the line, we wait for Mark Webb to leave the start line. So Mark Webb making his return to UK Drifting, had a little bit of time out, got that car back where it needed to be, now representing that lovely camo wrap, representing Toyo tyres and Super Drift.
Yeah, Webby saying he was confident, feeling confident in himself in the car this morning, and yeah, look at this.
Good
a lot of grip
so
here
far
from Mark Webb, and really nailing that outer line. How cool does this car look?
Yeah, very, very cool style in there from Mark Webb. Always ones that have a very outlandishly looking car. Oh, but he shuts it down, Eddie, before he completes the run. So that will be a 0. That will be an incomplete run there. I know I spoke to Mark earlier. Freshly rebuilt gearbox, said that he's got a different gear set inside this gearbox, finding it very hard to shift gears. So potentially there a gear change issue for Mark Webb. Hopefully we will get word from his pit crew and find out what exactly happened. But we will make it official from our judges first.
Yeah, of course, obviously after that error, not completing the run, so a 0 on the board for Mark Webb. And, you know, some of these drivers now leaving themselves in a situation where the pressure is on for their second run. And, you know, as we move through the grid here, we're moving through the highest ranked drivers in the championship at the moment. So you expect those scores to start to pick up, and a lot of pressure then for these guys when they come out early in the second half of qualifying to try and put in a big run that's going to be getting them right in the mix for top 32 battles. On the line next up is Stu Jones, the 32-year-old plumbing and heating engineer from Mansfield in Nottingham. He's representing competition clutch, yellow speed and tri-ace tyres. He can drink a full bottle of wine in less than 7 seconds.
Wow. He should have gone on Britain's Got Talent.
He should have. I'm wondering why it takes a full 7 seconds.
So Stu Jones, another guy qualifying into this Pro-Am BDC qualifying session from Drift Cup, finished inside that top 8. But just getting it wrong there, Eddie, coming off of climbing point 3 a little bit early, fails to get onto that outer wide line.
Yeah, and it had been quite a good run up till that point. And but you know what, I think they make these errors, they'll go back, they'll analyse the run and talk to their spotters about it, and he'll reassess himself and come back out stronger for the second run. But certainly will be penalised by the judges for that deviation of line. So judges discussing this one.
Yeah, judges just discussing this one. You know, splitting hairs there, like you say. But get a score on the board there for Stu Jones. It's a 69.3, so puts him in second position. So 69.3. We move it along to Daryl Jones. Daryl Jones, the aircraft engineer from Haverhill in Suffolk, representing EBC Brakes, Funk Motorsport, Engine Parts UK Limited, Hell Performance, Auto Extreme, Rolling Rims, Mega Spec, and Mirror Image Detail.
Yeah, this one, Monster RB25 underneath the bonnet, fully forged, 6-boost, low-mount manifold, and straight line entry here from Daryl Jones, kicking up a little bit of dirt here, and just goes to show very much on that high line, but possibly a little bit too high, and yeah, going off circuit and the error is starting to creep in. Judges not wanting the drivers all the way out on the very extremity of the track between 1 and 2. They need to just come a little bit in from the edge of the circuit, and as you see, the kick of the dust there from Daryl Jones, meaning a little bit of a penalty on the score, but very aggressive certainly, and the judges will be looking at that as well, wanting to see the drivers come in, putting in an aggressive line and showing lots of impact.
Yeah, look, very, very aggressive initiation, like Sadie, but yeah, too wide, you know, dropping one wheel, nearly 2 wheels as he come down off the bank into clean point 3. So Judge is going to be knocking his score back quite a bit there. So we wait to see what that score is for Daryl Jones, the returning driver to the British Tour Championship. And a 37.3, so a 37.3 there for Daryl Jones, puts him in 3rd position. We move it along to the next driver. It will be Callum Marshall. So Callum Marshall driving this insane sounding E36 BMW.
Yeah, this thing is a crazy, crazy car, and we're just waiting for Callum to make it to the line, a motorcycle mechanic from Dunfermline in Scotland. 2JZ, 500 brake horsepower underneath the bonnet, and just waiting to hear if there's an issue or no, there he is, come to the line. So, and of course, weather conditions here perfect for drifting at the moment. Nice warm temperatures. We're rocking the t-shirts here this weekend, Dean.
Yeah, absolutely perfect weather conditions. You know what, not too hot, nice little bit of breeze to clear the smoke, and a clear sky-ish. So off the line, Callum Marshall for his first qualifying run. This guy absolutely killing it in practice earlier on, Eddie. Look at that smoking tyres already as he throws that car in. Straight line initiation from Callum. Nice and high on the bank, gets all the way through. You can see him just crossing those 3 white markers with the front bumper there.
Yeah, just comes a little bit off that 3rd outer zone, but gets it back for clip 4, and looking to have a strong finish of the run. Here is Callum Marshall. You know what? Not a bad run in, liking that one.
Yeah, very, very good
run.
What
about that injury? It was like a rolling burnout all the way up the all the way up the straight. Very impressive, and just getting that steady run on the board. Obviously, some areas where he could have been stronger and room to improve on that 2nd run, but certainly putting in that solid 1st run, easing some of the tension that he would be feeling in the cockpit with that E36. Yep. Representing Rossbar Joinery this weekend, Everly Garage and Marshall Motorcycles, and a score of 84.7. Wow, what about that from Callum Marshall, topping qualifying so far, setting the bar nice and high, and you know what, that's going to relieve some pressure from Callum Marshall. Yeah, you know what, Callum Marshall earlier on in practice, really, really strong, and a lot of guys saying to me, who is he, what has he got, and that is what he's got. Callum Marshall come out there and put it all on the line, and we could just see, for you guys watching at home on the live feed, Ryan Toporowski now is meant to be on the line to put his first qualifying run in a borrowed car, but unfortunately, Eddie, it has caught on fire. Yeah, you can see a lot of smoke coming from the engine bay there as Malks, our start line marshal, having a little bit of a discussion with Ryan, and this very unfortunate, not what we want to see. So it looks like it's cool. It looks like the car potentially overheated, Eddie. So we see Topo getting back in that car, going to see if he's going to forfeit his first run, I'm guessing. What a shame, you know, Ryan Toporowski had so much bad luck recently, but built a brand new engine in his car. Yeah, look at that coolant, just see it overheating massively as he takes it back to the pit. So Ryan Toporowski will forfeit his first qualifying run. Yeah, hopefully those guys can get that problem sorted. I can't imagine. And a car to talk about right now, rolling up to the line. Yeah, I saw this online yesterday. How cool is this? Real Oldsmobile style. This is unbelievable. So right now, Ben Rowland, ladies and gentlemen, a man that is always piloting very outlandish cars. If you remember last season, or the season before, he piloted that Mercedes wagon turbo diesel twin charge. This year, Volvo wagon M50 BMW turbo on it, styled like an American station wagon. What has Ben Rowland got as he fires that car? It sounds like it's got a misfire, Eddie, though. Yeah, not sounding very healthy at all, and struggling to get out to that outer line. And you know, quite often the case with new builds, you know, you bring them out your first day of competitive action, and you know, you have to deal with some problems. But yeah, look, you can just hear the pops and bangs. It sounds like a bowl of Roast Krispies. Just not sounding healthy from Ben Rowland. But you know what, getting it around the circuit in probably put the score on the board. I can't imagine it's going to be a competitive one, and whatever that issue is for Ben, we hope that he can get it sorted, because he's a very entertaining driver, and one that can go quite far if he has the car to underneath him.
Yep, so we wait for the score for Ben Rowland to drop in. The Freedom Fighter from Sudbury, Suffolk. So we have a score on the board there for Ben Rowland. It was a 43, so a 43 there for Ben Rowland, putting him in 4th position so far. Need to do some work on that car as we move it back to the start line to Zana Young. So another one of our female Pro-Am drivers.
Yeah, representing Hell Performance and KO Motorworks. He's here for seat time and to conquer the competition nerves. Release some feel-good dolphins. Nice. Very
Wow.
good.
So Zana Young fires it in, R33 sideline, gets back on the throttle, gets it nice and high on the bank, absolutely nailed. Look at that wide line.
A little bit too wide in.
Yeah, just, you know what, stayed on it too long. Could have done with dropping off the bank a little bit earlier after clipping point 2, but keeping in it is Zana Young as she pedals her way through the 2 hairpins here at Teesside Autodrome. Gets out nice and wide on clipping point 6 and takes it across the line. It's going to be a score on the board, Eddie, for
exactly, and you know what I like about that run is showing the composure, a couple of errors creeping in, but held herself together, finished the run in style, and you know what, I don't think she's going to be too far off the mark here with that run. It's certainly going to be a score on the board, and a score of 51, so not bad from Zana. Room to improve there, and she'll know what she needs to do to bump that score up. Certainly the judges will be liking that wide line, just a little bit too wide on this occasion. So Andy Sykes, the next guy off the line, the electrician from Sevenoaks in Kent.
Yep, Andy Sykes, a returning driver to the BDC, last competed in 2014. Running an SR20, 420 horsepower under the bonnet.
Yeah,
oh, and a big
weight transfer entry here from Andy Sykes as he looks to take it out to that wide line. And
yeah, low on the bank though, but he completely missed clipping point 2. Gets it out to clipping point 3, but
you know what? A lot of points to be gained on the second half of this circuit as well. Obviously, the initiation and that first corner all important for setting yourself up for the rest of the circuit. Judges pay close attention to that aspect of the track. But if these guys could, keep it, mid to high line on that bank and then put in a really solid second half of the track, you're going to see the scoring quite up in the numbers. And Andy Sykes, where's he going to land? A score of 62, so 62 on the board for Andy Sykes and a safe first run. No one yet able to top that 84 laid down by Callum Marshall just a few runs ago. As we move it on, Ian Rutherford sits on the line for his first run. Contracts manager from Northumberland, 31 years old, BDC competitor since 2012. Rocking a BMW V8 with 485 brake horsepower, supercharged. This thing just sounds incredible, Ian.
Yeah, absolutely, and gets right in it, does Ian Rutherford from the initiation. Nice flick initiation, gets high on the bank.
But just gets into it a little bit too much as he comes through that second hairpin section.
Keeps it going though, Eddie, and keeps it on line.
Yeah, corrects himself and reassesses, gets himself back on that line and across the line to finish the run. So Ian Rutherford get himself off to a good start here at round 2 in the British Drift Championship at Teesside Autodrome.
So, waiting for Ian Rutherford's score to drop in from our judges.
Yeah, and judges discussing this one. Obviously, when they see an error like that, they're gonna, have a little bit of a chin wag about it. Decide, okay, are we going to reward him for being aggressive? Well, look at this, a score of 82 and second position for Ian Rutherford. Judges really appreciating the aggression on that one.
Yeah, they you know what, they wanted that aggression. They wanted those big flick initiations, and that run had everything. A small deviation, but you know what, not too much to be messed with there. Up next, Ricky Lawrence, the 22-year-old mechanic from Aberdeenshire, representing Driftland TV, RL Auto Services, and Shaw Wraps. Running an SR20, 430 horsepower.
Yeah, slight little weight transfer as he rocks through the gears down the stretch and throws it onto that high line. Now, can he keep it up there for Ricky Lawrence? Yeah, not bad. Look at this, slides that car down using all that momentum from the first corner.
Oh, and you know what? It sounded like the car got fuel surge.
Yeah. So fuel surge an issue there for Ricky Lawrence, and I mean, it was really looking impressive up to that point.
Oh, you know what, such a shame. Seen it many, many times here at Teesside Autodrome. The big transition off that bank into that hairpin. Yeah, you could just hear it. The car just ran out of fuel, misfired, and Ricky unfortunately not being able to keep in it. So I'm pretty sure, Eddie, that will be an incomplete run there for Ricky Lawrence, but we will make it official as soon as that drops in. Oh, you know what, such a shame. A lot of pressure now on Ricky's shoulders if judges do deem that.
And that's the thing, you know, what's most annoying about that for Ricky is that it wasn't a mechanical error that's put him on a 0. It's down to the car. So that will always be in the back of his mind now on his second run. So it'll be a nervous wait. Now, next on the line, John O'Hare. This car after a full rebuild for the guys at Win Motorsport. John O'Hare coming here, making the trip over from Ireland to try and make a name for himself in the UK. And this car is just awesome. RB25 under the bonnet, 580 brake horsepower, mapped by TDP. Teesside is the first outing and it's the first time ever driving with Wisefab as well, so a lot to get used to here for John O'Hare.
Yeah, looking like he's getting used to it though, Eddie, as John O'Hare makes clouds here at Teesside Autodrome. Absolutely gets in it. 580 horsepower from the RB26 under the bonnet.
Yeah, certainly plenty of power under the bonnet of that car. Maybe not the most fluid run that we've ever seen from Jono.
No, you know,
from Jono.
Yeah, a few mistakes there, but you know what? From the John O'Hare that we're used to seeing, that's a very clean run. You know, he's not. You know what?
Been 78 for John O'Hare. 78 on the board, 3rd position so far, and you know what? A massive plume of smoke around those Westlake tyres around the circuit that we're going to have to wait to clear before we let Ryan Cooper out on circuit. And John O'Hare coming to make a name for himself and doing a good job of that. Yeah, I mean, we've not seen that side of John O'Hare come to the UK. I mean, he's often come here, had car problems, not got used to the track. So, yeah, it looks like we are ready to go. So we are going to send the next driver. It will be Ryan Cooper. Like you say, Eddie, the engineer, Royal Air Force, North Yorkshire, representing Icaris, Artec Welding, Excite Energy, Excess Wraps, and Funo Auto Tuning UK. Yeah, the only driver on the grid running a hybrid engine. It's an RB25 hybrid engine. 650 brake horsepower. Own developments, turbo, tubular front end and rear end. And look at the big angle that Ryan's getting from this R33. Yeah, looking good as he finishes off that run. And just hammers the throttle as he crosses the line. Yeah, dropped off clipping point 3 a little bit early. It kind of messed up his line as he came through the first hairpin, but you know what? A very good run there for Ryan Cooper. So, judges' scores come in. And a 52 there for Ryan Cooper. A 52 that puts him in 7th position so far. We move it along to Lee Lawrence. Lee Lawrence making the Grade 8 Eddie in Drift Cup, given the opportunity to come and try and gain a BDC Pro-Am license this weekend. Lee Lawrence, the happiest guy on the grid. You know what, really appreciating the subtlety of the standard S14 kit. This car looking really cool. Straight line entry here from Lee Lawrence. SR20 under the bonnet, 355 brake horsepower, plenty for this circuit. A nice wide line here from Lee, doing a good job getting this car around the circuit again. Yeah, looking good. Lee Lawrence, a very, very consistent driver. This guy will drive the perfect line time and time again. It just every now and then lets himself down, makes a silly mistake, nerves get to him. But you know what? Very good run there from Lee Lawrence. Yeah. Do you know what? I reckon he could find himself inside that top 32. Absolutely. Running those Zestino tyres. A lot of drivers switching to Zestinos at the moment. Really loving the grip that those tyres offer. And Lee, a good example of just how grippy they are. Now, where are we going to see him drop in? Judges still discussing this one. A 73.7. What about that 5th position and inside that top 10? Never mind the top 32. And I'd imagine with that score, safe for... yeah, safe for a place inside top 32. We move back to the line. We see Jonas Lund, the 28-year-old tyre mounter from Harstad in Norway, running a 2JZ under the bonnet of this PS13. 650 horsepower. And no stranger to competition, Eddie. No, certainly not. 2 seasons of the IADC under his belt in Ireland. Competed at the Drift Superstar competition. Also travels from the north of the Arctic Circle to compete at these events. So if you're sitting at home down the road in Newcastle, you know what? Why aren't you here? Because he's come all the way from the Arctic Circle. And Jonas, you know, maybe not the most consistent driver you're ever going to see on the grid. But you know what? When he puts in a good run, it is an absolute stomper. Loves to just cloud the circuit out with smoke, and you know, we love to see Jonas making it to the events. Really, really impressive driver, and you know, one to watch. Yeah, I mean, a very good potential run there from Jonas. As he come off clipping point 3, just grabbed a little bit of understeer already, so unfortunately the judges will knock his score down ever so slightly, but do you know what, potentially could have been a good run.
And a 54.7 there for Jonas Lund, putting him in 8th position. So we move it along. Neil Bamford, Eddie, what did you call this? Dirty low, was it?
Dirt nasty low.
Dirt nasty low. I've never heard that before.
No?
Reference to a car.
You've not seen that video about the Honda guy over in America, no?
No.
No, dirt nasty low, yeah.
So, off the line, Neil Bamford, the 31-year-old plumbing and heating engineer from Hinckley in Leicestershire, representing AirTech.
Used to compete in Time Attack in a C20 XE Corsa, whatever the hell that is. SR20 though, under the bonnet of this S14, 380 brake horsepower. Bought this car completely standard back in 2011 and has been bringing it up to spec as it is, as you see it today, gradually. And you know what, doing a really nice job getting around the circuit. One of the coolest and most well-presented cars you will see on the grid, representing AirTech here this weekend. Feathers that throttle nicely as he crosses the line. Neil Bamford looking to put in a big performance here this weekend and get himself right back in the hunt for championship contention. All to play for here, as we mentioned, you know, there's been a lot of drifting in Ireland and obviously in America. Lately you could be confused into thinking that we're a little bit further into the championship here in BDC, but still only the 2nd round.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where I got caught up a little bit. I've seen so much drifting in the last couple of weeks that I thought, we're at round 3, surely to God. But no, only round 2 here. And look at that, a 77.7 there for Neil Bamford, putting him in 4th place so far in qualifying. So very good there for Neil Bamford. We go to the line and we can see what is left of an R33 Skyline that belongs to William Hanna.
Yeah, William Hanna recommending?
Recommended.
Well, he probably is recommending Tarmac Sports because they are sponsoring him. So RB25, 450 brake horsepower underneath the bonnet of the Skyline, and William Hanna, nice flick entry into the first corner, keeping it nice and high on the bank. Look at this, back on the power in. Can he keep it there? Oh, just struggling to keep it out on that wide line.
Yeah, just about keeps it there, and he gets a nice line through clipping point 3. Now gets it nice and wide on 4. William Hanna, very, very good driver.
You know what? And possibly one of the nicest guys you'll meet as well.
Yeah, very, very nice guy.
And you can just hear the abuse that these engines take as they cross the line, just absolutely redlined all the way from William Hanna.
Yeah, RB 25 under the bonnet, 450 horsepower. He says the body kit came from a jigsaw from Adam Simmons ProSec Skyline.
In the form of a jigsaw.
Yeah, so
okay.
It's definitely going to be a jigsaw now.
It's a 500-piece puzzle.
Going by, there's no front bumper.
Recommended for ages 8 to 12. Okay, so he was more than capable of doing it. And a 73 on the board from William Hanna, 7th position. And good things coming from Mr. Hanna this weekend. And he is looking strong out there. Will he be able to top that or improve on that score? I think he will. I think there's a little bit left in the bank there from William Hanna. We move it along to Justin Griffiths on the line. And another car, 180SX, rocking the Rocket Bunny body kit. Yep,
Justin Griffiths. Been a long time a member of the BDC clan. 1JZ under the bonnet. Rocket Bunny, look at that. Oh, but gets it wrong. Such potential there for Justin Griffiths.
Yeah, you know what, just dropping that wheel, and I think when the rear wheels came back up on the concrete, it grabbed a little bit of grip and shot him forward.
Yeah, so unfortunate there as Justin Griffiths tackles the rest of the circuit here.
Yeah, so it'll be down to the judges to decide whether that or not that straightening was significant enough for it to be a 0 on the board, or will we see a score from Justin. Of course, he will be hoping to get a score on the board just to relieve some of the pressure. Not a bad run after that, all the same, Ian.
No, a lot of potential there. Yeah, just a shame that he dropped those wheels on initiation, maybe going a little bit too hard for the first run of the day for Justin Griffiths. But like you say, Eddie, not sure how the judges are going to call this one. It's going to be heavily penalised for dropping those wheels, and that was quite a fair straighten as he fired that car from clipping point 1 to 2.
So it looks as though the judges have finished deliberating on that one, entered their scores. We await confirmation of whether or not it'll be a 0 or a score for Justin Griffiths. And a 59, so the judges deeming that error on initiation or on entry not significant enough for a 0, and a 59, and well inside that top 32 for Justin Griffiths, but definitely room for improvement as well. So we move it on to the line. Andy Earle, the surveyor from Dublin, representing Glen Bay Group and Tire Tech. He's very competitive by nature, and an SR20 at the bottom, 450 brake horsepower. Link ECU, Wisevap, Ford's SR20 and a Garrett Turbo. Very well spec car. And a nice little weight transfer flick entry there from Andy Earle. But you know what, Ian, I'm not riding the wide line here, not getting to grips with it. Straight in there as well. And Andy Earl is going to have work to do on the second run here, because I don't think this is going to be enough to get him into the top 10.
No, you know what, a very, very poor run here from Andrew Earl. Like you say, fired that car in, but just didn't get high enough on the bank. Very, very easy on the initiation, Eddie, to fire that car in and not let it drive up the bank. It's a bit of an unnerving feeling as you feel you're going to wash off into that gravel trap. But he didn't let it wash up the bank enough, got on the power a little bit too early and just pulled himself down off a clipping point 2, and that just completely messed up the rest of the line for Andrew Earl there. So a 30 on the board for Andrew Earl, putting him in 16th position. We will see how we go through qualifying, but definitely work to be done. We move it along to the next driver. That will be Richard McCourt, the 43-year-old lifting engineer from Leeds.
Lifting engineer, so he's like a personal trainer? Or
Yeah,
yeah,
potentially.
I'm not exactly sure. So, very slow off the line. Of course, that chicane system there designed to slow down the lead driver, and on the qualifying run, that is exactly the position that they would be in. But look at this nice, tidy entry here from Richard McCourt. R33, 430 brake horsepower, own developments turbo, as new injectors. He's representing RS Tuning, CG Motorsports, Maxolin, Jelf Insurance, and RJB.
Yeah, very, very nice line on the bank there for Richard McCourt as he come down into clipping point 3. Looked a little bit scrappy at the transition from 3 to 4, just cut short on 4, but...
And I'm shocked at how quiet that car sounds.
Very quiet.
He was out on circuit right in front of us here. You could barely notice that he was there, so maybe lacking some impact from Richard McCourt. We'll wait to see what the judges would, how the judges will feel about the actual run.
So as we wait for the judges' score to drop in, a 50.7 there for Richard McCourt, putting him in 14th position. As we go back to the start line, we will see a Lewis Baker, I do believe. Yep, Lewis Baker, Mr. Impact.
Mr. Impact, yes, all the way from Milton Keynes. Although my geography's not good, that could be right next door to where we are, and I wouldn't even know, so... If anybody wants to update me on how far away Milton Keynes is, that'd be great. He's representing Drift Tech, Wenham Fitness, Mr. and Mrs. Fitz, Fabulous Food, Westlake Tires, Drop Jaw Customs, and Drift 365. He's still here, giving it large. Hobbies include wakeboarding, snowboarding, and off-road 4x4, so loving all the extreme sports. And look at the entry, big angle here from Lewis Baker as he fires through that first corner, but very shallow on the banking.
Yeah, fails to get out to clipping point 2, manages to get those front wheels on those 3 lines that the judges asked for, but did it by shortcutting the circuit ever so slightly. Gets it back online now, Eddie, and starts to make that impact like that we know from Lewis Baker. Big upshift as he takes it across the line.
Yeah, and you can just see that rear-mounted radiator in the boot there, just in the gap you see the boot lid that creates between the boot and the window. But the rear-mounted radiator, of course, designed to manage the weight distribution of the vehicle. Yeah,
and some heat. So we wait for a score for Lewis Baker to pop on the screen. Just waiting for the judges to input their scores.
Yeah, judges a little bit slow with their scoring this morning. I'm not sure if they've woken it up. Yeah. You know,
and a 51.7 there for Lewis Baker, a 51.7 so puts him in 13th position. We jump ahead of the game to Matt Walker. Matt Walker on the line.
Yeah, Walker, Texas Ranger from Shropshire, representing Fred Wilson Restore. He's only got 4 lives remaining, and see the Catman, S54 BMW engine underneath the bonnet, 300 brake horsepower. The man that has died and was resurrected by the cat gods, whatever the hell that means. Look at this though, Ian fires it out to all the way to the very edge of the bank, and full throttle, shredding tires around this Teesside Autodrome circuit. Of course, this circuit, more used to seeing or accustomed to seeing go-karts, but perfectly set up for these few corners for drifting. And Matt Walker just nailing that throttle all the way around. Nice run there from Matt Walker.
Yeah, very, very good job there for Matt Walker. That guy landed on the podium last season. Very, very confident here at Teesside Autodrome. I know it's one of his local places he comes testing. So good to see Matt Walker back out there. And yeah, that guy never underestimated when it comes to Teesside Autodrome and that little BMW. So where does that score put him? I'm going to tell you now, Eddie. I think they could have broke the 90s ever so slightly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You're going to the 90s.
That was by far one of the best runs.
You heard it here first.
So we've heard it here first, yeah. I'm putting it all out there, Eddie. I'm going to say that's a 90.
Let's see what the judges say.
Are they feeling generous, Eddie? That's the question.
Well, Kieran Hines, we know, isn't a very generous man.
No, he's not a generous man. Dave Egan is. He's a generous man.
Dave Egan doesn't know what he's talking about. And who's this other guy?
Ben Manuel, I don't know, he former pro, apparently did a skid one day. And not sure.
Not sure
He's
yet.
been around a long while. His trophy cabinet's not that full, so says a lot to me, Eddie.
Shots fired.
Oh, and a 50. Oh, so sorry, my bad. It's wrong information for you guys watching at home on the live feed.
So awkward for you there, Ian.
So an 82.7 puts Matt Walker in second position.
Okay, so we're just hearing that there was a technical issue. So the score of 55, which I thought myself was surprisingly low, not the correct score. So just a technical issue here, just between, obviously, our scores have to go from our judges down through all of our technical headsets and into a computer, and then make their way back up to our monitor. It's very technical. I don't understand anything about it.
And I'm glad I don't, Eddie. I'm glad I don't.
That's why we have people here, the guys from See It Live,
that do all that for
us. Worry about all the wiring, all the cabling. It just appears in front of us on our monitor.
Exactly. So we move it to the line where we will see our next driver.
We will, of course, come back to that score from Matt Walker. And you can just see it, well, okay, you can't see it if you're in attendance, but if you're watching at home, you can see it on your screen. And 82.7 for Matt Walker. So 82.7 is his score after his first run. Certainly not too far off that 90 score, but not enough to tops qualifying, but second position for him.
So awaiting the qualifying run is Damien Wilkinson, the 29-year-old mechanic from County Tyrone.
Yes, and one of the drivers representing Quinn M Sport, and some really awesome builds coming out of that garage in County Tyrone at the moment. SR20 under the bonnet of this particular vehicle, 400 brake horsepower, Cinco manifold, precision turbo, wise fab, and you know what, Damien Wilkinson coming here again to the British Drift Championship and using it as an opportunity to get as much track time as possible under his belt. Would love nothing more than to take home some silverware for his team and for himself, of course. And who knows, could it be the weekend that we see what Damien Wilkinson is capable of as he slides to the line, warming those Westlake tyres in anticipation for his first run here at round 2 of BDC at Teesside Autodrome.
So off the line, Damien Wilkinson. What has he got, Eddie, as he fires that car in? Nice and wide, almost drops the wheel, but gets on the throttle a little bit too early. He's going to completely miss clipping point 2 as he does. Gets out wide on the bank, dropping wheels again is Wilkinson. Collects clipping point 3, loses the rear bumper.
And this is the problem, once you get off that qualifying line, it can be very hard to get back on it correctly, and you can see coming shallow but then washing too far wide as he tried to make it over to that second clipping zone. And between 2 and 3, a few things going wrong there for Damien Wilkinson, but a score on the board nonetheless.
Yep, so a score on the board for Damien Wilkinson, nonetheless, like you say, Eddie, yeah, just gets on the accelerator too early. You can see, as soon as he initiated, jumped on the accelerator, the car automatically, with those grippy Westlake tyres, wanted to push straight across the track. He kind of shortcutted the bank here at Teesside Autodrome, completely missed clipping point 2, got wide, but then dropped wheels. So a 50.7 there for Damien Wilkinson, puts him in 16th position. We move it to the start line to Stuart Egdahl. Stuart Egdahl, the 34-year-old Highways England traffic officer from Northampton, representing Goodrich, EP Racing, Paint Tech, 360 Wraps, AET Turbos, Turbo Smart, 5.0 Motorsport, Powerflex, OBP, Hypercross and Extreme Clutch. So Egdahl there fires that car and gets nice and high on the bank, a veteran to the BDC, so this guy knows Teesside Autodrome like the back of his hand. Just drops clipping point 4 though, so Egdahl ever so slightly getting on the wrong line. You can hear him pedaling that.
Yeah, the car looked a little bit unsteady throughout certain parts of the course, particularly earlier on or early on. But you know what? He's possibly just driving around some issues there, but managing to keep that car on the circuit, and I think that could score quite high for Stuart Egdahl. One of the happiest guys on the grid, always smiling, always having a laugh, and so he's a Highways England traffic officer. Does that mean he's a cop, police officer, or is it different?
I'm not going to tell you exactly what I feel about those kind of people, Eddie, because so it's a 56.
Briefly moving on, or swiftly moving on rather, to the score, a 56 on the board for Stuart Egdahl, and room for improvement. Yeah, just not the smoothest looking run there for Stuart, and of course that car a relatively fresh build for him.
Yeah.
As we move on to Philip Hayden, a man who was doing donuts around me earlier on, warming his tires, and this guy can really pedal this little E36.
Yeah,
3.2 M3 engine under the bonnet and 300 brake horsepower with a homemade lock kit.
Yeah, Philip Hayden, like I said earlier, look at this, big fleck initiation from Philip Hayden, this guy using this brother's car to come through Drift Cup last season and found his way into BDC Pro-Am, and now doing an absolutely sterling job in qualifying. Dropped a little bit low on the bank, dropped those wheels just off of where the judges wanted to see him, but finishes it off, Eddie, absolutely pinned.
I gotta say, compact EMWs have probably, you know, some of my favorite cars to watch out on track. I don't know if it's the cars or if it's the drivers that are driving them, because they always seem to push it 100%. So we're just awaiting the score here for Philip Hayden, and look at that, Ian, a 75 on the board and 7th position. Wow, big run from Philip Hayden.
So there we go. We move it back to the line though, Eddie, to a guy that has always got my interest. On the line, Ryan Caldwell, the 16-year-old student from Strabane, County Tyrone. This guy absolutely killing Pro-Am, Eddie, in both championships.
Yeah, he certainly is. And you know what? The winner of this round last year, the final round of the BDC Championship, and looking to replicate that, came up against Lee Scott in the final last week in IDC.
Whoa.
Narrowly missed out on top spot of the podium. He's coming here looking to continue his winning streak here at Teesside Autodrome, and if he can come up against Lee Scott, you can bet those guys will be pushing each other around the track, vying for that top spot. But can he top qualifying? An 84.7 needed to take down Marshall's score. What are we going to see when the judges' scores come in? So, there you go, Ryan Caldwell, the 16-year-old student from County Tyrone representing Quinn Motorsport. Aidan Caldwell, plant sales, P. O'Neill, scaffolding. 7th in the IDC last year, and the score drops in, an 87 for Ryan Caldwell, and first position, statement made. Yeah,
I mean, that guy absolutely on form lately, Eddie. Unstoppable force. Can't wait to see him later on inside top 32 as we move it to the line and we see Paul Beachy. Paul Beachy, the 31-year-old water engineer from Ramsgate, representing Washloo, APW Engineering, Dynamic Detailing, MB Automotive and Evolution Branded Clothing. He said he likes a good cup of tea, Eddie. Well, so do I.
Yeah, I can get on board with that one.
Under the bonnet, SR22 Mazworks, 535 horsepower. Oh!
Just overcooks it. Just overcooks it, and it was looking like a really nice entry. Lots of angle, lots of speed, but unfortunately,
and I'll tell you
Beachy gets beached.
I'll tell you the problem. He had a big stake for dinner. He told me. He said he had a massive stake, playing him up.
Hadn't earned the stake.
Hadn't earned the stake.
You're not allowed to have the stake until Saturday evening when you've put in a good run. But a 0 on the board for Paul Beachy. He's going to have it all to do, and pressure on the second half of qualifying for him. But you know, he strikes me as the type of character that doesn't really feel the pressure too much. Coming out for a bit of crack, a bit of fun, and just enjoying being on the grid. Paul Beachy heads back to the pits with pops and bangs as we move it on to Carl Ferrar in what I'm hearing is the second of the 2 cars that he's brought here this weekend.
Yep, Drift Dango, as he's known to his friends in that team taxi at Nissan Laurel. Yeah, Drift Dango brought 2 cars. He knew he was going to break one of them, at least. I mean, why not? If you've got them, bring them. So, as Carl Ferrar, the part-time Drift Taxi driver for Three Sisters and the full-time rockstar, makes his way around Teesside Autodrome, drops down low, Eddie, on the banks. Not looking good for Ferrar so far.
No, certainly not. Yeah, I mean, look, you spent all week writing down all these little rhymes, and now they're paying off you.
Yeah.
On the notes that we have, it says it's an SR20 underneath the bonnet, but I'm pretty sure that does not sound like an SR20 to me.
No, it's definitely not an SR20, and that will be a BMW V8 under the bonnet.
As Carl Ferrar lays down his first run of qualifying. Nice hum off that BMW V8. So, part-time Drift Taxi driver for Three Sisters, full-time rockstar. Representing Colour Sound Experiment, Two Roads Motorworks, BM Auto Bodies, what would Dango do?
What would Dango do? Well, he scores a 54.7 and puts him in 15th position. So Dango definitely got himself a place inside top 32 potentially. As we go back to the line and we see a Lewis Mitchell. Lewis Mitchell, the 25-year-old carpenter from Spalding.
Yeah, carpenter, not car painter. Representing 1552, J.I. O'Rourke and Sons, Mitchell Motorsport and Bulldog Services. It's a stock racing car background. All both granddads and dad are former world champions, so there you go. It's in the blood.
It's in the blood.
1JZ under the bonnet, 560 brake horsepower with Wisefab front and rear mounted radiator, turbo mac wheels. He says it looks cool. I think it looks cool.
Yeah, rocking those 1552 wheels as Lewis Mitchell fires that car in.
Yeah, you can just see quick dab of the handbrake as he enters, then straight back onto the power to bring that car up onto that nice high line, and it is full throttle all the way down to that third outer zone. Yeah, really nice run. Lewis hooking up nicely with the circuit.
Yeah, looking good so far from Mitchell as he fires it around nice and deep into those zones. Keeps his foot in as he takes it across the line. And you know what, Eddie, apart from a little bit shy on the top of the bank for a first qualifying run, there's a very, very good run there for Mitchell. So potentially a good score on the bank. But what did the judges see? Because I've been wrong so far already.
Yes, you don't have...
I'm never going to judge.
You don't have much credibility at the moment.
I'm not going to judge.
So you're kind of going to have to just build yourself slowly back up. Yeah, 64.7 on the run, on the board from that run from Lewis Mitchell, and gets himself mid-pack, and definitely a run to work with and to improve on as well. So we move on. Richard Dalby Smith, the IT consultant from Buckinghamshire. He's representing Nispro Performance, OP Oils, Walton Motorsport, Samco Sport, Asnu Fuel Injection, and DB Paint Co. UK. He's a jack of all trades, rocking the CA20 DET 480 brake horsepower, stroked CA18 to make it a 2-liter. I mean, it's just unheard of.
It's just dangerous, that's what it is. But right now it's working for him, Eddie. Nice high line on the bank. Can Dalby Smith get out to that wide outer clip on clipping point 4? Looks like he's on a
nice,
good line,
nice
Eddie.
run, Ian. Really enjoying this one so far. Tidy line, and as Dalby Smith takes it across the line, ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for Richard Dalby Smith.
So as
and of course, Dalby Smith right in contention, sitting in 9th in the championship currently, and not far off. A good performance here this weekend could put him right back into contention here as we await the scores from the judges. And Richard Dalby Smith scores a 77.3, so 77.3 for Richard Dalby Smith. It's really a great name.
Richard Dalby Smith.
Yeah, I like it.
It's a cool name. We move it to the line. Tomas Falvey, the 30-year-old construction worker
Flavor Falvey.
From Cork in Ireland, Eddie.
Yes, this car recently appeared in a film.
Yeah, I didn't see the film.
It's not worth seeing, but...
Wow. But has Flavor Falvey got something for us to see right now?
The car is cool nonetheless, representing Drift Games, the trailer company, RH Construction, Mobile One, Burke Lubricants, D&M Sport, and Moose Design. Moose Design, of course, responsible for the graphics on 90% of the cars in the IDC grid. RB25, 500 brake horsepower, forged engine, Wisefab, Samsonas, Winters diff. It's just, you know,
it's got it all.
You name it, it's
got
it.
Got it.
And then it's got Tomas Falvey behind the wheel, the happiest man in drifting.
Yeah, good run there. You know what? Just a few little mistakes here and there. Dropped off the bank ever so slightly. Dropped a clipping point. Still a good run for his first run.
Absolutely. Tomas claiming he was probably too fast around the circuit earlier on, so you know, just wondering whether he should switch between a 3.7 and 3.9 differential ratios. It means nothing to me. But 69.3 on the board and 12th position, so a good steady run from Tomas, and we know he's capable of more than that. Will we see that in his second run? But certainly safe inside that top 32 for the moment, so room to maneuver and pressure off for him. We moved along to our next driver, which will be Dominic Gates, the jeweler. Diamond Dom, we like to call him, from Horsham in West Sussex, representing M&M Engineering, Goldfinger Rings, Funk Motorsport, and J Developments. Also Mishimoto rather, on the car as well. So a 1JZ under the bonnet with 500 brake horsepower.
Yep.
Modified fuel cell, Link ECU, rear-mounted rad, tubed front end, you name it, it's got it. So many of these cars, such impressive builds. Unfortunately, Dominic just not hooking up around the circuit too well here at the moment. Few errors creeping into the run, but a nice finish to the run in.
Yeah, made a big mistake on initiation, Eddie. Didn't get nice and high on the bank, and you know, from there out, really, it was just a bit of a scrappy run. Dominic tried to get it back online, struggled to get back on the clipping point, so not going to be the best score. Definitely something to work with, though, as we wait for the judges to drop in a score for Dominic Gates.
Yeah, scores drop in, and a 44 on the board, enough for 25 position for the moment, but of course we still have the remainder of the first runs to go, and obviously the second half of qualifying where drivers come out and complete their second score. So you would imagine that that score will need to improve for Dominic to have any hope of staying in the competition. We move it on to a lady looking to turn her luck around this weekend. Bad luck last weekend at the Irish Drift Championship. Mechanical problems after morning practice, unable to get that car back out onto the grid for qualifying. Kirsty Witherington here at round 2 of the British Drift Championship. What she got, she's representing ACT Super Pro Europe, Samco Racing Lines, Grand Prix Racewear, K&N Filters, ACL Race Series, iTandem, EP Racing, and DLR Motorsports. This is a fully forged RB20 under the bonnet, and a nice line here from Kirsty Witherington. That surname's a little bit of a mouthful.
Yeah, Kirsty Witherington there, just struggling ever so slightly. Kirsty, the problem with Kirsty, gets too much involved in her head. I think she worries about stuff too much. She's always had that kind of issue.
And you know what? It's a common problem with a lot of drivers on the grid, and they don't realise their full potential because they can't overcome the mental aspect of the game. And I think that's what separates a lot of drivers on the grid. But on her day, we've seen Kirsty taking down some of the biggest names in the competition. A 54 on the board, 18th position for her so far, and a good steady run, something to build on, and that'll certainly settle the nerves for Kirsty and help her out with her second run later on this afternoon. Exactly.
So we go back to the line where we see Alexis Drew, the 40-year-old fire starter.
Twisted fire starter.
Yeah, from London, representing G3 Pro. He said he loves jungle music, and likes to pretend that it's still 1994.
Yeah, the sound of jungle music coming from that exhaust as he...
and big problems there.
Doesn't sound right, and you can see, look, not even attempting to get that car sideways.
Yeah, sounds like the car's in limp mode, just it's hitting a very, very early rev limiter.
So as the CD appears to be scratched for Alexis Drew, and it doesn't take a miracle worker or a genius to figure out that that is going to be a 0 on the board, and a 0 for Alexis Drew means he will have it all to do on the second run of qualifying. Now the next driver on the line is Hayden Cruikshank.
Yep, Hayden Cruikshank.
He's managing director of an event lighting company, all the way from London, a master scuba diver, and 2JZ under the bonnet, 600 brake horsepower. This car used to belong to Declan Hicks and Carl Ferrar, rebuilt and mapped by Walton Smith. And yeah, you can see Ian just not getting high enough on that line.
No, struggling to get out on that high, wide line like judges wanted to see, but
just missing out on the podium spot. Finished in 4th position at round 1 at Rockingham Motor Speedway. You just see the amount of smoke that he can create from that 600 brake horsepower as Hayden Cruikshank crosses the line. Certainly won't be setting the scoreboards alight with that run, and will have to come back out on the second half of qualifying and really improve his run if he has the hopes of keeping himself in the hunt for the championship for 2018.
So we wait for Hayden Cruikshank's score to drop in. And a 57, so a 57 there for Hayden Cruikshank puts him in 17th position. As we go back to the start line, we see Oliver Bolton, the 21-year-old car painter from Essex. His title sponsor there, Funk Motorsport, and a 400 horsepower SR20 under the bonnet. Yeah, Funk Motorsport, of course, obviously one of the sponsors of the series as well. So those guys getting behind a lot of the drivers and the series. Great to see that support coming from Funk Motorsport. And look at this from Oliver Bolton. Fires in. Look at that high line in. Really nice. Impressive. Look at this. No Oliver Bolton absolutely nailing it, Eddie, so far. I can hear him pedaling
If you watch the smoke line from the rear end of this car, you can tell when he's lifting off throttle, and he has hardly taken his foot off the accelerator the whole way through the circuit.
No, very, very impressive there from Oliver Bolton.
Do you know what? I think that could be a contender for the top spot. Do you think it's worthy of a 90?
I'm not going to say anything, Eddie.
Okay.
I'm not even going to hint at a score anymore because I'm always wrong.
Oh, come on.
It's an 85.
Give me something to work.
An
85.
85.
That was a quick turnaround. I'm not even going to hint at a score. It was an 85.
That would have been an 85 from me. A couple of mistakes, lifted off the throttle on the transitions a couple of times where he could have kept his foot in. Oh, and lower, 76. But enough to get him into 9th position. So Oliver Bolton currently sitting inside that top 10. So a good place to be.
Yes, with 2 drivers remaining to take on the circuit for their first qualifying run. Alistair Sutton, the first of those, 2nd position at round 1. He is looking to replicate that. Can he get to the top spot on the podium? Former off-road competition competitor in Corsa 4x4, or Course 4x4, sorry, misreading that. Southeast champion 2 years running, M52, 2.8 litre engine underneath the bonnet, 200 brake horsepower, and brought it all the way to the 2nd step on the podium. Look at this line. Alistair Sutton rocking it out here in BDC this weekend.
Yeah, Alistair Sutton, if this one thing this guy is absolutely phenomenal at doing, and that is line driving, Eddie. This guy will get the qualifying line absolutely nailed, run after run. It might not have the big impact, it might not have the big smoke, but technically, Alistair Sutton's driving is just phenomenal. And yeah, I mean, look at that. That run was absolutely perfect. Like I say, no big impact, not a lot of smoke, but if you looked at it technically, absolutely nailed it. So where do the judges drop Alistair Sutton in? So judges talking about this one, Eddie.
Yeah, we can't
quite a lot of discussion with this one.
We can't hear them in our heads, so but certainly a lot of deliberation going on. And look at this, an 80 on the board, enough for 5th position for Alistair Sutton. He's going to be delighted with that one as he heads back to the pits. Now, next on the line, your championship leader has not been out-qualified in IDC, BDC, he hasn't been beaten in a battle, IDC, BDC in 2018. Will this be the weekend that Lee Scott can finally be beaten? We are about to find out. An 87 from Ryan Caldwell, who he narrowly pipped to top spot at IDC round 2 last weekend. Floats like a Cadillac, stings like a Beamer into the first corner.
Yeah,
Lee Scott.
Lee Scott absolutely hammering Eddie. Big clutch kick. This guy drives like Dwayne McKeever. A lot of aggression. Very wide there from Lee Scott.
Quite notably, a lot of mechanical difficulties here this weekend in practice this morning. Every time he went out on track, suffering mechanical failures. But when it matters, the team have got that car right out on track. He's representing Finvoy Tyres, Care Recovery and Repair, Hell Performance, JW Services, AK Drift Repairs, and Top Dog. Good Scott, great Scott, Lee Scott, he's got it all. RB25, 500 brake horsepower. You know what? Our videographer, Josh Holsworth, has a little bit of a fascination with him as well. If you were listening to our podcast, that was released, but look at this, an 81.7 for Lee Scott and 5th position for him in qualifying. Only one more run to bring it to the top spot, and he's going to need to almost break into the 90s at the moment. So, first runs of qualifying have been completed. And you know what? No one yet breaking into that top spot, but Lee Scott, or sorry, not Lee Scott. Not Lee Scott.
You're used to saying it.
I'm so used to saying it. Ryan Caldwell topping qualifying with an 87 so far. As we take it back, reverse championship order. You can just see, if you're watching at home on the live stream, Caldwell, Marshall, Walker, Rutherford, and Scott making up your top 5. And we go back.
Yep, right to the beginning, Eddie, like you say. Where we will see Joshua Raymond King on the line. Unfortunately, missed his first qualifying run. This guy coming through from Drift Cup. So everything to play for now for Joshua. Looking to gain his BDC Pro-Am license. With a big flick initiation there for Joshua. Nice, keeps it nice and high on the bank. Can he keep in it?
Yeah, and we talk about the nerves of having it all to do on your second run, but add to that the pressure of trying to make a name for yourself, trying to get yourself qualified into the BDC competition on a regular basis. And these guys coming from Drift Cup competition, they have that experience of getting themselves, you know, deep into competition, getting themselves onto the podium. But coming here, trying to make a name for yourself, it adds a whole new level of pressure. And Joshua doing a good job getting around the circuit.
Yeah, doing a very, very good job there. And you know what, I'm going to say that's a good score, enough to get him inside top 32. So we wait for that to drop in from our judges.
So just over here, David Egan saying he likes the aggressive nature of the run there from Joshua Raymond King, and an 81.
Look at that.
Look at
wow.
that. Sixth
Matches
position.
Lee Scott's run.
Yeah, matching it. And you know what? That was with one run to do it. That is really, really impressive.
Yeah, very impressive. Someone who has only got one run to get it done, and that is Jolene McDonald right now, sitting on the line in that infamous 2JZ 600 horsepower E92 BMW, previously piloted by Mike Marshall. Big aggression on her first qualifying run. Can she get it done on this one and gain a BDC license again? Big flick initiation. Manages to keep it, just ever so slightly straightens. Can she keep in it this time, Eddie?
Yeah, you can just see the problems that it's causing these drivers when they drop that wheel, and then, you know, they get that grip, it causes a straighten. Big flick entry from Jolene this time around as well. A 29 on the board from the first run. You know what, Ian? The second half of this run has not been particularly bad. Nice line, lots of impact. Sends up the smoke signals, and you know what? I think Jolene might have done enough here.
Potentially, Eddie, potentially. I know she is gunning to get her BDC Pro-Am license, so she's going to be fingers crossed inside that car that she's done enough to get inside top 32. But where does she drop in? What did our judges make of that wheel drop, Eddie? That was the big thing. They was asking not for a wheel drop. So what were the judges saying? And a 77 for Jolene McDonald there, puts her in 11th position. So definitely, Eddie, safe inside that top 32. And a new BDC license holder.
Yes, absolutely. That's exactly what we wanted to see. You know, we'd love to see new talent coming into the Pro-Am field, and you know, where's Jolene going to take it from here? That's the question. But it's exciting to as we watch that unfold. Now we move it on to Paul Cunnington.
Yep, currently sitting in 12th position with a 77.
Yeah, representing Slide Industries Clothing, OP Oils, Walton Motorsport. He's been drifting for 5 years. He's a food lover and loves a good superhero film. Looking to be the superhero this weekend as he big aggressive flick entry into that first corner and hugs at that wide line, not dropping the wheel, very importantly, on entry. Look at this wide line all the way around the bank.
Yeah, very, very nice. Little waver there as he comes down the bank ever so slightly into clipping point 3, but keeps in it. And keeps it nice and smooth as he transitions through that first hairpin. Nice transition back in. This is going to be a very good run here from Paul Cunnington. Just looks like that car needs another gear. Yeah. Just runs out ever so slightly. Just hasn't got the gearing for those two hairpins. But yeah, nevertheless.
Certainly driver ability there. Maybe not the ability in the car just to push that on that extra little bit. But of course, Paul was sitting on a 77 from his first run, so well inside that top 32, and obviously these guys want to be, you know, pushing themselves as much as possible and jumping up the order, but the main thing is to get into those battles. And look at this consistency on the board from Paul Cunnington, a 72.3, 11th position for him. Not able to better that first run, but you know what, consistency is key.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So we move it back to the line. Tessa Whittock sits on the line for her second qualifying run.
And if I remember correctly, you know, not the greatest score on the board, a 26 from Tessa, but got a little bit caught out and certainly had the ability to get this car around the circuit really nicely. And look how well presented the Driftworks R33 Skyline is. Just a fabulous car. And Tessa, yeah, nice entry there, taking a sensible approach.
Yeah, you know what, she knows she scored a 26 on her first run. She knows she needs to get it done. And look at this from Tessa. Oh, just dropping clipping point 3. Oh, and again, understeer again from Tess.
Yeah, between clip 2 and 3 is where it all started to go wrong for Tessa Whitlock, and coming off that line and then just grabbing a bag full of understeer. So unfortunate, because you know what, looking really, really confident out there, really liking her driving style. And unfortunately, that will be the end of the competition for Tessa, but hopefully we will see her back at round 3 for more action at BDC. And it just goes to show how important that getting that first run on the board would be. And
yeah, look at that, a 14.7. So unfortunately, that is Tess out of competition. Like I say, Eddie, such a shame. But like I say, hopefully we'll see her back for round 3. As we go back to the line, where we see Jamie Stevens. Jamie Stevens.
Yeah, Jamie's got some work to do as well here. He's on a 28, so just 2 points more than Tessa had. And say this car, it's a Bradley mapped RB25 with 600 brake horsepower, ex-IDC Shannon car, picking up Bit of dirt there as he drops the wheel on entry.
Yeah, I mean, on the initiation, fired that car in on big angle, but it completely sacrificed the line. Unfortunately, Jamie Stevens having to drop way down on the bank. Completely hurt his line, as you can see now, Eddie, playing catch up.
Yeah, what's happening here is Jamie's getting this car around the circuit, but he's nowhere near the line the judges wanted, and he's going to be heavily penalised for that. Look, I don't want to make a call, but I don't think this is going to get him into the top 32. 28 in the first run. Could we see a similar score? Didn't make it very high on the bank, and after that, you know, dirt drop on the first clipping zone as well. So, as we say, it's not as easy as some of the drivers make it look out there, and you know, unfortunately, competition very difficult for these guys. 41.3 for Jamie Stevens, and his weekend will end there. Now, you know, well, we were going to move on to Mark Webb, but he was on a 0 from his first run and not taking part in his second. A misfire we're hearing in the car, and won't be competing for the rest of the weekend. Very unfortunate for him. Not the way we would have liked to see him go out, but we got to move it on. Stu Jones on the line, a 69 from his first run, representing competition, clutch, yellow speed, and Tri-Ace tyres.
Yep, the Slide Motorsport driver looking to gain his BDC license this weekend. Nice wide initiation there from Jones as he gets that car nice and deep into one, but drops off the bank ever so slightly. You could just see those white markers showing you that his front wheels were low on the bank. Jones gets it back online now. Could it be a better run than his first, Eddie?
Yeah, you can just hear not overly steady on the throttle. You can hear quite a lot of on and off the power there. Maybe just not modulating that throttle pedal quite the way the judges would be hoping for, and obviously the judges looking for as smooth and as fluid a line as possible around the circuit, and a lot of on-off power makes it quite difficult then for chase driving as well later on in competition. So
yeah, we wait to see the score there from Stu Jones. Can he better his first score of a 69?
And as we await that score to come in, quick mention, of course, to our sponsors: Cosmos Racing, Simpson Zestino Tires, Monster Energy, Jap Speed, M-Tech Brakes, Funk Motorsport, JDM Distro, AM Details, VP Racing Fuel, Link Engine Management, Samco Sport, and Monster Energy. Brian James Trailers also on the board. Score comes in from Stu Jones, a 68.7.
Yep, so two consistent runs there already from Stu Jones. So essentially see himself inside that top 32. On the line, Nick Brady unfortunately missed out on his first qualifying run, so he has it all to do in this run, Eddie.
Yeah, the managing director from Orpington, representing Jason Metals, Westlake, and Automotive Works. He says he's interestingly uninteresting, but always gives 110% no matter what. Sometimes it's awesome, sometimes it's really not. Orby 25 under the bronze. Oh, and unfortunately, this is one of the occasions where it just wasn't awesome, Nick.
No, unfortunately, a drop to wheel on clipping point 3. It just drew the front of the car in, and then, yeah, you know
and
what?
look, this is the pressure of having it all to do on one run. It plays on your mind. 30 seconds to get in the game, and you got it. You know you got to go out and put it all on the line.
Yeah, exactly. So unfortunately, there for Nick Brady, that is the end of his weekend. And 2-0 is not the best way to make a comeback to BDC. Eddie, as we move it back to the start line where we see Daryl Jones. Daryl Jones representing Team JBR.
Yes, it's on a 37.3 after his first run, and we're at the point in competition where there's no safe runs. It's either you're in the game or you're not. He's representing EBC Brakes, Funk Motorsport, Engine Parts UK, Hell Performance, Auto Extreme, Rolling Rims, Mega Spec, and Mirror Images Detail. And Daryl Jones just about getting above those white markers on the circuit, keeping it banked.
Yeah, very aggressive, Eddie. You can hear him absolutely smashing the rev limiter as Daryl Jones gets that car into the line. It's a much tidier run from Daryl Jones now. Takes it across the line.
Yeah, this is what we're talking about when we want to see drivers stepping it up for their second run with it all to do. Daryl Jones, the aircraft engineer, doing a really good job. Now, will the judges reward the aggression? Certainly that engine taking a lot of punishment all the way around the circuit as he just smashed the limiter. and a 58.3, enough for 22nd position. And of course, it's a top 32 format here today, not top 24, so safe inside that top 32 for the moment.
Yep, so on the line, the man that was topping qualifying earlier on, it is Callum Marshall. Callum Marshall currently sits in second position with an 84.7. Can he take down the 16-year-old student, Ryan Caldwell? Callum Marshall looking very strong earlier and putting an amazing first qualifying run. What has he got on this one, Eddie? Is he going to go all out?
Yeah, I'm expecting Marshall to go big here. Nice entry as he gets on the power straight away. Look at this, throws it nice and high in the bank, Ian.
Yeah, in it nice and early, keeps his foot in, nice line through clipping point 3. Very, very wide. Oh, almost too wide.
But it doesn't matter, it's okay.
And you know what, he aborts the run. He knows he's got it in the bag. He knows he's sitting in second position.
Smiles to himself in the cockpit as he knows, just pushed it ever so slightly too hard. But look, that's what you got to do, you know, 3 points off that top spot. He'd be looking at that going, you know what, not a bad day's work. Came out, put up a show on for the crowd, and he'll be back for battle action later on this afternoon. Will he stay in second position though? That is yet to be determined. So 84.7, and then you see it a 0, making it official from our judges. So we move it along as we work our way through the grid for the second half of qualifying. Ryan Toporowski, you saw the bonnet off the car as he had issues on the first run. Didn't compete. The Beaver trainer, I'm not sure if that's true, from Mansfield in Nottinghamshire.
Yeah, Ryan Toporowski missing out on his first qualifying run. Can he get it done in his second? A lot of pressure, Eddie. Gets on the bank, misses clipping point 2.
Yeah, this run looking damn good, you might say, from the Beaver trainer. Wow. 2JZ 3.4 Titan stroker kit, 696 brake horsepower, just shy of that 700 brake horsepower mark. Samson's sequential gearbox, yellow speed coilover, brakes and air jacks, TDP lock kit. Very impressive build, and has Topo done enough? So,
yeah, we wait for that
one
score.
run to get it done. Will Topo get himself into the game? And again, judges really discussing this, spend a lot of time deliberating.
Do you know what, I think it was 58 there for Ryan Toporowski, so that does see him in 23rd position. You know what I think it was, Eddie? It was the initiation was nice, but the line on the bank dropping clipping point 2, judges talking about that quite a lot. So we go back to the start line where we will see Ben Rowland, the freedom fighter, in that station wagon, should we call it?
Yeah, it reminds me of
the Griswold's Family Holiday was what it reminded me of.
It reminds me of what's the big dog's god? Beethoven, that's the one. Beethoven, yeah. So Ben Rowland on a river. Big flick entry, drops the wheel, just like he did on the first run, but look, keeps in it in.
Looks like he's got rid of that misfire now, Eddie, as he's absolutely bashing the limit. M50 turbo under the bonnet of that Volvo. Oh! Takes a cone, and
does he just about do enough to keep this going? A little bit of a straight line, but could have gotten away with it because it's where they're supposed to transition. But you know what? I want it to be in competition later on because it's just damn cool. I'm loving that wood effect down the doors. Real, you know, 70s, 80s station wagon look to that BMW or Volvo.
Volvo.
BMW powered Volvo.
BMW powered Volvo with Mercedes wheels.
It's easy to make mistakes, Ian. You said someone was going to get a 90 earlier on.
Yeah, well, you know.
No one's got a 90.
No one's got a 90. Ryan Caldwell could get a 90. Lee Scott could. So at 43.7, so 2 consecutive runs there for Ben Rowland, but unfortunately 35th position, not enough inside top 32. So that is the end of the weekend for him. We move it along. Zana Young.
Yeah, Zana sitting on a 51, the medical devices auditor from Banbury. You know what? I think Zana has it in herself to pull out a big run here. Can we see her? Can we see her move up the order?
Well, we're about to find out, Eddie.
Quite a tentative entry, and oh, big error there, dropping those wheels. Just see, again, making that error on entry, dropping the wheel, and the car shoots forward as soon as it grabs that grip on the tarmac. Yeah,
exactly. As soon as it, like you say, Eddie, as soon as the car jumps back up onto the circuit, it fires the car forward. These guys finding that massively problematic today. So Young, currently sitting in 31st position, needs a big score to push herself up the order. I don't know if it's enough, Eddie. You know, I just don't.
Yeah, Yeah, I want to see. I forgot to take note of where she was with the score of 51. Is she inside the top 32? 31st, yeah. So that's going to be a nervous wait for her unless she can improve on that. Did the judges see something worthy of an improvement on the first run? Nervous wait here as we. Yeah, judges taking their time to deliberate. 43.7, the score comes in, and 31st position is where Zana will stay. And as we say, nervous wait for her.
Yeah, we move it along. Andy Sykes on the line, currently sitting with a 62. So Andy Sykes currently sitting with a 62. Can he improve on his score? The BDC former Pro-Am driver making his return this weekend. Coming in hot this time, Eddie fires that SR20 powered S13 in. Nice and high on the bank, big smoke. This looks nice from Sykes so far.
This looking like a really, really good run from Andy Sykes. If he can keep this one going, just filling those outer zones, and switches it back now for the final time. As he gets on the power, you just see those wheels start to increase their wheel speed, kicking up a little bit of smoke, and across the line from Andy Sykes. 62 on the first run, looking consistent, Ian.
Yeah, I'd say a mid-60 score again, two very, very consistent runs there from Andy Sykes.
And you're pretty good at picking
and I'm so
what
good
score
at the scores, yeah, so good.
You know, the drivers are going to pick up. You know, you should be a judge.
No chance.
No chance. Commentary's it's a bit of a safer game.
Yeah, it's a safer game.
We can say what we like, but look at this, a 74.
Wow. So Andy Sykes jumps up the order, gets himself into 15th position with a 74. And he's going to be happy with that.
And you proving once again that you know nothing about drifting
at all.
A vacancy has opened up in the tower. We're looking for a second commentator. Ian has been fired and shortly to be replaced by someone. Send your CVs to dave@idcnation.com.
He'll be stoked with that, Eddie. He'll be so stoked with that. So we move it along on the line. Ian Rutherford.
Yes, as we try to build the atmosphere, the crowd's starting to build here as well for the Pro-Am competition. If you're out there and enjoying the driving and the action so far, make a little bit of noise, show us that you're still alive out there. As Ian Rutherford takes to the line, 82 on his first run, sits in 4th position, Ian.
Yeah, big entry from Rutherford there. Look at this, nice.
Oh! Dirt drop.
I did it again, Eddie. I did it again. Yeah, I mean, so much potential there for Rutherford. Nice and high on the bank, looked like he was going to absolutely nail it. But unfortunately, just dropped a wheel and put himself into a straight zone.
Yeah, getting hurt in the dirt is Ian Rutherford. But you know what? He's safe.
Yeah,
he's safe. He scored an 82. Looking to try and push the limits a little bit too much and getting a little bit caught. But you know what? That's what we want to see. And a 0 on the second run, but Ian Rutherford well in it for competition later on this afternoon. Now we've got to move it back to Ricky Lawrence, a 0 on his first run after he looked so good up until the fuel surge as he came to the second hairpin.
Yeah. Right
in front of the crowd. And of course, the viewing here in Teesside is just spectacular. There's not a bad seat
not a bad place to stand.
Yeah, you know, it's a banked surrounding all the way around the circuit, and no matter where you are, you have the perfect view of the entry and all the action. Look at this, wavers as he comes down the straight, throws it into that first corner and keeps it high on the bank, does Ricky Lawrence.
Yeah, Ricky Lawrence keeps in it. Now this is where it all went wrong last time, but this time absolutely nailing it, Eddie. Look at this from Ricky Lawrence. Keeps that SR20 absolutely singing as he stands back on the accelerator. One more clipping point to go, and Ricky Lawrence nails it. Give him a round of applause, Teesside.
Yeah.
Made it count on the one run he had left.
Yeah, our spectators enjoying that one.
I enjoyed that one. That was a good run. And I'm not going to tell you the score.
Yeah, good.
I've refrained from that.
3 strikes and you're out, Ian. Okay, look.
Out of the tower head first. So we wait for Ricky Lawrence's score to drop in. Look at this from Ricky Lawrence, ladies and gentlemen. 87.7. Ricky Lawrence tops qualifying here.
Ricky.
Ricky Lawrence.
Hey, Ricky.
Made it happen.
Wow.
Wow.
Things starting to hot up, and you know, something for our higher qualifiers
to think about.
Think about. You know what? If Ricky Lawrence can do it,
why can't John O'Hare? He sits on the line right now. John O'Hare currently sitting with a 78.
Yeah.
Eddie. So
big run from Ricky Lawrence. Or, oh God. Ricky,
John O'Hare.
Ricky on the break. Big run from John O'Hare on his first run in this brand new build, might I add. 78. Look at the entry here from John O'Hare.
Yeah, John O'Hare coming in hot. stands back on it, like you say, freshly prepared by Quinn's M Sport.
But you know what? Not getting high enough. And now, this is where, look, this is a really strong run so far, but we're talking about, we want runs that are going to top qualifying, and that just wasn't good enough. It just wasn't high enough. Filling those outer zones, though. The only negative to this run is that he was a little bit low on the bank.
Yeah, I mean, he threw in a big initiation. It just kind of got him off the bank ever so slightly. But John O'Hare, you know what? Looks like a man possessed this weekend. That reworked car completely transformed John O'Hare's driving. So where does he end up after his second qualifying run? Currently sitting with a 78. Can he better that score?
Ooh, 74.
Very consistent. So a 74 for John O'Hare. He stays where he is in 9th place. We move it along. Ryan Cooper. Ryan Cooper with a 52.
Hooping the coop.
Hooping the coop.
Yep.
That's okay.
Yep.
Moving on, Ryan Cooper.
Our track marshal Mike just says, you know what? Back to the action. Oh, big entry here from Ryan Cooper.
Yeah, Ryan Cooper gets in it, but again, Eddie, another driver dropping off that bank, not what the judges wanted to see. Gets back out wide on 3. Gets on that wide line again now, holding it together, Ryan Cooper, but just that dropping clipping point 2 going to hurt his score massively.
You know, and if you're watching from at home, or if you've never seen this circuit before, it might seem a little bit easy when you just look at it. It's just essentially it's just 3 hairpins.
Yeah.
Okay, but the speed that these guys need to carry into that first corner to keep themselves up on that bank, it is actually a lot more bank than it may appear on the live stream cameras at home. And these guys obviously have to manage that aggression to keep the car. Obviously keep it high in the bank, but obviously not going too far off.
Too far, yeah.
So a 64 comes in for Ryan Cooper and bumps him up to 22nd position.
Yep, so Ryan Cooper finds himself safely inside top 32 competition. We move it along to Ali Lawrence. Ali Lawrence scoring a 73.5, Eddie, on his first ever qualifying run here at BDC. So this guy looks like he's potentially a new BDC Pro-Am license holder. I know he'll be absolutely over the moon. It's been his goal for 2 years now. And here he is for his second qualifying run. What's Lee Lawrence got?
Yeah, he's got the nickname Colgate because of his massive grin. Learned to drive at the age of 10 off-road, and he also taught Alexis Drew how to DJ. There you go. Some interesting facts there about Lee Lawrence.
Wow. As
he looks to improve on a 73.5. And you know what? This, again, another consistent run from Lee Lawrence. I'm looking at Lee Lawrence as a driver who is going to be a lot of our grid, hoping not to come up against him here, because steady drivers like this often become very difficult to beat in battle action.
And some fans. He's got a lot of fans. I can hear a lot of cheering for Lee Lawrence out there. Are you a Lee Lawrence fan out there? Woo! A lot of Lee Lawrence fans. So where does he score after that second qualifying run? Currently with a 73. Can he improve? A lot of clutch kicking, Eddie. A lot of footwork going on inside that car for Lee Lawrence. And a 71, so he stays where he is in 17th position. But look at that, all 3 judges all putting in a 71, so good consistent driving.
Look at that grin. Yeah, I can see exactly why he's called Colgate.
Colgate.
Wow. Getting those pearly whites out on show. Loving it.
Jonas Lund, 54.7 currently, Eddie.
Yes, Jonas Lund, what are we going to see from him? This guy, you know, just crazy behind the wheel. And moving over to the S-Body, used to formerly piloting a Volvo back in the IADC days, and that thing was like an absolute boat, a Viking boat. But Jonas, yeah, not hooking it up too well here. Very shallow on the bank, and you can just see he gets out to the bank at the wrong time, then has to come away from it, missing that third outer zone. And
yeah, he got on the bank completely wrong, completely missed clipping point 2, and then like you say, Eddie, as he transitioned down the bank, coming into the first hairpin, he missed clipping point 3 because he was on the wrong line. He managed to get 4, but that's only because he allowed the car to wash. And it's easy to let the car wash on this slower portion of the circuit. So, unfortunately for Jonas, I'm not sure if he's going to better that score of 54. But we wait to make it official from our judges.
Yeah, of course, the judges, the people with the power. They make the final call, and you can see that score drops in a 41 from Jonas Lund and 28 positions. So could
potentially see him inside that
top see him
32.
inside once all is said and done, as we move on to Neil Bamford, a 77 on his first run, and he's looking to
as we say, replicate the success of his first run and maybe improve it. Very wide on the circuit as he comes down that straight. And a big entry, nice and tidy though. Look how steady this looks out on the bank section.
Yeah, look at this. It's very good car control here from Neil Bamford. Nice transition there, flicks it on big angle as he comes through Kevin point 4. Car looks very settled, Eddie.
And that was just what I was going to touch on. Just as we say it, just straighten quite a little bit. But for the most part of that run, and it's a very good example of what the judges are looking for. When we say we want to see these guys very fluid, so it looks as though, you know, it's just a smooth drive all the way around. And often quite like that, when you see drivers put in a run like that, it looks as though they're not really doing anything impressive.
Yeah. But no, very good run there. Yeah, apart from that little straighten, Eddie, like you say, on that second hairpin. A very good run there from Neil Bamford. So where will he improve on that score? And he doesn't. He stays where he is in 10th position with a 77.
Yeah, that problem just at the end for him, causing the judges just to lower that score. So William Hanna in a beat-up R33 Skyline from Limavady in Northern Ireland. He's on a 73 after a monster run on his first attempt. So the Sierra Cosworth to put a load of money into this Skyline. And it seems to be a worthy investment at the moment. Oh, look at that.
Yeah,
millimeter
absolutely hanging
away from it. Yeah, exactly, hanging it out. Just keeping it on that tarmac though, and a bit straight though as he comes from 2 to 3.
Yeah, a bit of a straight line drive there from Hanna, and a big handbrake dragging that de-acceleration zone, but keeps in it. You can hear him really pedaling that car, trying to get it through. Wow. And no mechanical sympathy from Willie Hanna there at all.
No, certainly not. And our head marshal Mike just turns and looks to us with a look of disgust on his face, saying, "Leave that poor engine alone, William." So Big Will looks to improve on that 73, and yeah, look, I'm not sure if that one's going to improve on his first run. A little bit untidy from clip 2 to 3.
Yeah, judges deliberating about that score, really seeing things in it that they're not quite happy with.
Of course, judging is obviously they have criteria, but it comes down to their own individual opinion. And look at this, an 80 on the board. What do we know about scoring?
Nothing.
I mean, I said that wasn't going to beat his
quite
his
clearly,
first
and it did.
2 vacancies for commentators in the British Championship.
Yeah, so on the line, Justin Griffiths in that Griffield Rocket Bunny kitted S13.
Yeah, he scored a 59 on his first run, so inside the top 32. Looking to bump himself up. What can Justin Griffiths do here as he fires through the gears as he comes down the straight? And a nice steady entry into that first corner, but doesn't get up to the bank section, missing that second outer clipping zone. Filling that third zone though, and then doing a nice job from there. But all important, first section of the track was quite poor for Justin. And again, judges will be weighing quite heavily on that as he crossed the line. Make some noise for Justin Griffiths, looking to bump up that score of 59. But 59, not a bad run on his first attempt, and has him in the show so far.
Yeah, like I say, sees him inside the show, but he could do with putting himself up the order to ease his way inside that top 32 later on this afternoon. So where does Justin Griffiths? Yeah, and a 54. So 2 pretty consecutive runs there from Justin Griffiths. He stays where he is in 23rd position. Pretty sure that's enough to see him inside competition later on. As we move it along to Andrew Earl.
Yeah, just waiting on Andy Earl just to make it to the line. And of course, if you're here in attendance or watching at home, be sure to check out the new BDC and Drift Games merchandise range. You can find it online, or if you're here in attendance, head over to the BDC merchandising tent, where you can check out all the new gear. Really, really cool designs available at the moment. And
but don't buy it all, because I wanted 2 t-shirts and a hoodie before I go home.
So don't buy anything in extra large,
wow.
because Ian is
wow.
Oh, did I go there? Is that a bit low?
That is very,
that's dirt
that
nasty
hurt.
low.
That hurt. That was cold, Eddie.
So make sure you leave baby sizes for me and extra large sizes for Ian. After that, do what you like. But yeah, no, be sure to check out some of the range.
The new Drift Game stuff is so cool.
It is
the
really
new
cool.
jumpers. So it looks like Andrew Earl's out. Yeah, broken drive shaft. It did look that way. Trying to turn the car around, the car will only reverse.
And unfortunately, at the end of his weekend, as if we remember back to his first run, a 30 on the board from Andrew Earl, and very unfortunate to see that just on the line as he was going out for his second qualifying run. Mechanical failure, meaning that will be the end of his weekend. So Ronan Catterson, another driver not taking to the track on their first attempt. The machine operator from Tyrone. He's representing Otaku Garage, Nuke Performance, Mishimoto, GK Graphics, Corbo Seats and Rush Automotive. He's on a mission after missing out on a Pro-Am IDC license. Orbi 25, 650 brake horsepower with plenty of anti-lag as well. And a very aggressive entry, just keeping it on track, is Ronan Patterson. As you can hear the pops and bangs from that anti-lag. And you know what? This is not a bad run here.
Yeah, looking good. Ronan Patterson sticking that car in the tyres earlier, Eddie.
Yeah, running Zestino tyres and they seem to be gripping up nicely for him. And when you only have one run to do, Ian, this is just how you do it. Takes it across the line, guys. Give him a round of applause. Ronan Catterson. As we see, was there an issue there as he crossed the line? No, it appears that he is okay. Ronan Catterson heads off to the pits. We await the score. Will he get himself into the main show? Ronan Catterson, one run to get it done.
One run to get it done. And Zana Young currently sitting on that drop zone. Ooh. Oh, and not enough.
Just missing out. A 49.7 for Ronan Catterson. And, well, the mission that he's on is going to have to wait for another day. Very unfortunate for him. And, look, when you see a driver with only one run to get it done, the pressure that will be on their shoulders obviously builds. As we move it on, Richard McCourt at 50.7 on his first run.
Yeah, Richard McCourt, like you say, with a 50, so looking to improve. Can he get it done? One run left to go. As Richard McCourt.
And we're just waiting for a small little bit of smoke to clear. Obviously from the track, we want these conditions to be perfect and the same for all our competitors. Safety, obviously a huge of utmost importance for our drivers and obviously our spectators and media staff, track staff as well here at the British Drift Championship. So, Richard McCourt.
Tentative entry, Eddie, coming in not too quick there from McCourt. Oh, yeah.
Spin for Richard McCourt.
Tried to gain speed through the course and just couldn't get it done and ended up putting himself into a spin. As we see Richard McCourt there finishing off that run, so he will stay where he is.
And you've been in this situation before where you're on the grid.
What, spinning?
Well,
every single time.
Yeah, every time. No, you put in 90 runs before in your own head.
Yeah.
But you've been on the line where you've had it all to do with 30 seconds of a run to do. Just how difficult is it for these guys, and what goes through their head when they sit on the line?
I mean, you've worked all week. You've brought all your team. You've done everything you can to get here. You mess up your first qualifying run, you sit on the line, you've got one run to get it done. There is a huge amount of pressure on your shoulders to try and get inside top 32. And you know what, and everyone says, yeah, but top 32, you could just get knocked out then. But I've seen drivers qualify in 32nd place and win the event. Top 32, anything could happen. So just to get yourself inside that competition alone.
Qualifying is only a small part of it, and after that, it's some drivers really come into their own when they get to battle action. But we go back to the track, and the action is with Lewis Baker, who looks to complete his second run. Lewis Baker was on a 51.7, and you know what? I always feel as if we don't see the best of Lewis Baker when he comes out on track.
No, Mr. Impact, I like to call him, always comes out big style, big impact, but yeah, sometimes, knocks himself out of competition, and look at that. Oh, do you know what? He's DB'd a tyre. He DB'd a tyre on initiation, Eddie. As he jumped up the curb, you see the air come out of that tyre. And look at that, see?
Yeah, well noticed, and of course, tyre debeating becoming a very common fault or issue that drivers are experiencing now, that they're running these very grippy tyres, they're trying to get as much grip out of them as possible, dropping those tyre pressures down really, really low. So maybe, sometimes with 5-6 PSI in the tyre, those tyres then become very easy to pop off the bead. Yeah,
like you say, a lot of these guys running Westlake tyres, Zestino tyres, they're running no tyre pressure, they're running like 10 PSI to keep them just literally on the wheel. But unfortunately there, a wheel drop broke the bead, and that will see a 0 for Lewis Baker's second run. We move it back to the start line where we see Mr. Catman, Matthew Walker.
Yes. I'd be interested to find out more about how.
You don't want to find out any more about the cat situation with Matt Walker.
Okay.
It's a strange obsession that Matt Walker has. But look at this, coming in hot is Matt Walker as he fires that M3-powered BMW E30 up nice and high on the bank, Eddie. Look at this.
Yeah, that engine absolutely purring in.
Oh, wow.
And
I was hoping you wasn't going to go there.
Yeah, of course I'm going to go there. Look at this for a run. I mean, let's not take away from it. Matthew Walker absolutely lighting up Teesside Autodrome with a stomper of a run.
So we wait to see if Matt Walker can improve on his score. Very, very good run, very consistent driver, very, very confident behind the wheel and not scared to put it on the door already. We've seen that guy go door to door in competition. Always someone good to watch inside top 32 and an 81.
Wow, an 81 from Matt Walker after an 82.7 on his first run. So that guy is on it this weekend.
Yeah, very consistent. As we see Damien Wilkinson warming up the tyres on the back of that Quinn's M Sport 180SX.
A man that will be hoping for a big run here. Damien Wilkinson needs to put a statement of intent to the rest of the grid here. He needs to come out swinging. A 50.7 on his first run, not what we're accustomed to seeing from Damien Wilkinson in the Quinn M Sport 180SX. SR20, 400 brake horsepower. What has Wilkinson got as he leaves the line, slamming through the gears? First, second, third, big flick entry as he fires, and again dropping that wheel. But you know what, manages to keep the car on angle, but look how shallow he is. Yeah,
drops him way down the bank, Eddie. This is going to, and a big straight in there as he fires that car into clipping point 3.
And what's really puzzling me is a lot of drivers choosing to take that very wide line through that first section of the course when they know the dangers that present themselves there. No need to be so deep into the clipping zone. The judges don't want them out that wide. They just want them into that, just on the actual white markings, which isn't to the very extremity of the circuit. And Damien Wilkinson have a nervous wait here as we wait to see what score will come in from him. Will he be putting himself into battle contention?
So judges just inputting their scores into the system. And can Damien Wilkinson top a 50.7? And a 52.3, so sits him in just about position.
In the game. And when you look at drivers to come, Paul Beachy sits on a 0 outside the top 32. Alexis Drew on a 0 outside the top 32. Dominic Gates on a 44 outside the top 32. It's going to be a nervous wait for Damien Wilkinson to see is he going to get himself into the game. Stuart Egdal on the line with a 56. Representing Goodridge, EP Racing, Paint Tech, 360 Wraps, AET Turbos, Turbo Smart, 5.0 Motorsport, Powerflex, OBP, Pipercross and Extreme Clutch. He's the dad to 3 beautiful girls.
What a nice initiation from Egdal.
Yeah, this looking really, really nice from Stuart Egdal.
Yeah, this looking very good from Egdal. Fires it nice and high on the bank, gets out nice and deep into clipping point 3. But sacrifices line. Cuts on the inside of that apex, Eddie, on that first hairpin. Gets out wide again. Completely sacrifices clipping point 4.
Wants to give a big shout out to his mum and dad and all his family for helping him get to where he is and get the car to the track for competition today. And Stuart Egdal, 56. Had a good No, he's... God. You're so difficult.
Today.
He's not that old. So, 56 was the score he got in his first run. But you know what, Stuart Egdal, plenty more in the tank and had a good showing. Became a very difficult man to beat at round 1 in Rockingham. And he'll be looking to have similar success here this weekend. Can he get himself into podium contention? Just about improves on his score and bumps himself up to 24th position and 84.7.
So Stuart Egdal are looking safe inside top 32 as we move it along. Philip Hayden. Hayden currently sitting with a 73, sorry. So a 73 for Philip Hayden. This guy very confident.
That could be a 75. My writing is just that bad. Representing M&W Autos, Max Stream Performance, Pab Mortgages.
Big flick initiation. Uses the foot brake there to balance that car on initiation. Gets nice and high on the bank. And Philip Hayden screaming at that 3.2 BMW M3 engine in that little compact.
Yeah, sometimes we don't know if it's Philip Hayden driving his car or Ed Sheeran, as they look so similar.
He is a dead ringer. A dead ringer for Ed Sheeran.
A dead ringer for a ginger singer.
I didn't say that.
I'm going to get myself in trouble here this weekend.
So Philip Hayden doing a very, very good job there. Not sure if that dirt drop going to take too much away from him. He did drop 2 wheels on that transition into that second hairpin. So what will that do to his score? Like I say, currently sitting with a 73, we believe.
Or a 75.
Or a 75.
Yeah, not sure which. It was a 75 and a 69 on his second run, so stays in 16th position. There you go.
Middle of the pack, good place to be for top 32 battles later on.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Ryan Caldwell, 16 years old, podiumed, won this event last year. Can he do it again? Needs to beat an 87 of Ricky Lawrence.
Yeah, he needs to be 0.8 better than what he was on his first run.
Whoa!
Oh, what an entry from Ryan Caldwell.
Coming in hot is Caldwell. Look at this, so high on the bank, absolutely on the limit. A little waver there as he transitions into 3. Keeps in it though, Eddie.
Yeah, keeping the shoe in and really enjoys this circuit. And this car, he debuted this car here last year, if I'm not mistaken, and absolutely shredding tires out on circuit. What about that? I'm expecting this one to go top. That was a big run. Ladies and gentlemen in the audience, show your appreciation. The young gun, Ryan Caldwell, showing just why he was the winner of this particular round last year. And you know what? Forget about Lee Scott. I think Ryan Caldwell is the man to beat at the moment.
Wow, that's a statement.
That is a statement.
That is a statement. So where does Ryan Caldwell drop in? An 83, ladies and gentlemen. So an 83 keeps him in second position. Judges not really feeling that one.
And you know what, I might just take a moment just to go over to the judges and just say, you know, we have a few runs left here. What is it going to take to break into the 9th?
So Eddie's just going to quickly go and give Dave Egan a little jab in the ribs. So Dave Egan's just going to tell us what he's thinking.
Yeah, we're just having a conversation about that. Essentially, the biggest sort of errors we're seeing is pushing a little bit too wide as they're coming off the first bank and staying too close to that white line and just sort of stalling up a little bit. And also what's actually costing a couple of guys is the end section as well. Just like if you look at Ryan Caldwell's score there, that was a perfect run, but he finished the run on the wrong side of the track. He was actually on the inside of the corner. And we're saying to the guys we want them to be this side or mid-track essentially. So small mistakes like that are being quite penalised heavily here. Any sort of adjustments or anything like that, that's pretty much what his entry was perfect, most was perfect, just finished a little sloppy. That was it. There was a couple more points in it there, I think.
So there you have it, judges being a little bit tedious.
And you know what, rightly so, these guys are very, very good at what they do. They're top of their game, pro-ams, so you know what, we expect the best from them, and so do the judges. We move it along to Paul Beachy.
Yes, the man who is on a 0 from his first run, representing Washloo, APW Engineering, Dynamic Detailing, MB Automotive, Evolution Branded Clothing. As we said, likes a good cup of tea, but you know what? He needs a good run here. Oh, and again, that car just maybe not sounding 100%.
Yeah, coming in a little tentative there, just misses out on clipping point 2 ever so slightly, gets 3. Can he wash out wide? Doesn't. Manages to cut that apex. Oh, and a big error there from Beachy as he fires his car through the final hairpin. And not the best runs we've seen there from Beachy, unfortunately, and not enough, I don't think, Eddie, to get inside that top 32.
No, I mean, that one was, I'd imagine, close enough to borderline of a 0 with the amount of mistakes through the midsection.
Wow. You're being strict today.
21.7. Not too far off.
You're basically saying there should have been a 0.
I'm not saying it should have been, but you know, very close.
Very close.
Yeah. It was 21.7 away from being a 0. But look, unfortunate for Paul Beachy, but you know, that midsection has you know, some uncharacteristic errors there.
So we move it along to Adrift Dango. Carl Farrar currently sits with a 54.7, Eddie, so just inside that top 32. Can he better his score?
Hashtag what would Dango do as he turns the lights on as he makes his way down the pit straight?
Yeah, just about hangs onto it, almost dropping wheels. You can hear him screaming that BMW V8 under the bonnet of that Nissan Laurel. Drops a wheel but keeps it going. Whoa, takes out clipping point 3. Nice wide line.
Yeah, rocking the aviators. So that's why the track looks a little bit darker for him, and needs to have those front headlights on. And as Team Taxi take it across the line, Carl Ferrar looking to improve on that 54.7. I mean, Carl Ferrar just always brings the cool, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's got a cool name too.
Ferrari.
I wouldn't have gone that far, but. So waiting for Carl Ferrar's score to drop in. Can he improve on that 54.7? Judges
having a little bit of a laugh amongst themselves. Kieran Hines.
Very chilled out Kieran Hines.
Kieran Hines is possibly one of the oldest people involved in drifting and probably the most childish person you will ever come across in your life. 29th position for Carl Ferrar as he struggles and fails to improve on his second run, but he stays in the competition. As we move it on to Lewis Mitchell, who scored a 64 on his first run.
Yeah, Lewis Mitchell rocking those 1552 tarmac wheels. Like you say, Eddie, sitting with a 64, so safe inside top 32, but can he improve? Lewis Mitchell really bonding with this. 1JZ has 14, fires it in, gets up nice and high on the bank. Keeps those front wheels inside those 3 dotted lines. You can see nice and wide on 3. This is looking good for Mitchell. Yeah,
joining the dots quite well here is Lewis Mitchell, and doing, look, I mean, this is what it's all about, a really steady line that he's comfortable on, not deviating from that, not trying too much, understanding his ability. But was that a case of what the judges were referring to, of drivers being on the wrong side of the track as they crossed the finish line? But a strong run from Lewis Mitchell nonetheless.
So a 64 is where he's currently at. Can he improve and make life easier for himself later on inside top 32? As our judges finish inputting the scores, a 68.3, so a 21st position there for Lewis Mitchell. We go back to the start line to a man that likes to live life dangerously, Eddie, with a CA20 under the bonnet of his car.
Yes, rocking that CA20. Well, it's a CA18, stroked out to 2 litres. So, I mean, look, talk about your V8s, talk about your 2JZs, your RBs. Dalby Smith still rocking and, you know, flying the flag for the CA18, and you got to admire that.
Yeah,
making it work as well. A 77 on his first run, so why not? Who needs those? You don't need those big engine transplants to make it work. It's all about driver ability. Look at this, Ian, hugging the edge of the tarmac. Keeping it pinned, not a...
Absolutely flying right now is Dalby Smith, Eddie, looking very strong.
Not lifting one bit from the throttle, keeping it just right foot all the way to the floor, the whole way around the circuit. That is a really, really nice run from Richard Dalby Smith.
Yeah, a very, very strong run. You know what, very consistent was the word I was looking for. Very, very consistent runs. A driver that's really come into his own in the last couple of events, the last couple of rounds. Seems to be getting stronger and stronger. The reliability of that car now getting up there as well. So, like you say, Dalby Smith with a 77. Not sure if he's going to top it, Eddie. Wow, well, what do I know? An
what do you know is right.
81.3, ladies and gentlemen. An 81.3 for Richard Dalby Smith drops him into 7th position.
Yeah, big second run for him now. A man that will be looking for a big run. Tomas Falvey sits on a 63. Made the trip over from Cork in Ireland, representing Drift Games, the Trailer Company, RH Construction, Mobile One, Burke Lubricants, T&M Sport and Moose Design. RB25, 550 brake horsepower. What can Falvey do? Here we go. Look at this for a run from Falvey.
This is looking good from Falvey. Very high on the bank. Oh, Eddie.
Falvey, what were you thinking? Comes off way too early, and he had the throttle absolutely pinned. Can he resurrect this run? And Falvey takes it across the line, guys. One of the nicest cars on the grid. That car, he just was driving past.
It was kind of like he sort of run out of gearing, and that instead of sacrificing and straightening, he wanted to make the dive onto the first hairpin, where realistically that's a braking zone. So Falvey could have got away with coming off the accelerator, grabbing a bit of handbrake, extending the drift then getting back on power and getting into fourth. But hey, Eddie, what do I know?
Yeah, what do you know? But you know what? He was driving to an event in Ireland last year, just decided on the way to pick up that car off Mark Gaffney. And as you do, you know.
As you do.
He said, you know what? I don't feel like spectating this weekend. I think I'll just drive. And yeah, it'd be nice to have that option, wouldn't it?
It would be incredible to have that option.
So we wait the scores from Falvey. The judges, of course, just taking their time discussing it. And yeah, they're on a little bit of a go slow this weekend. A 66.3 from Tomas Falvey.
Yeah, stays where he is in 20th position. Dominic Gates currently sits with a 44, so I do believe he's outside that top 32, Eddie.
Yeah, definitely outside that top 32. As you can see on that drop zone at the moment is Lewis Baker sitting in 32nd position, so he'll need to better the score of Lewis Baker if Dominic Gates has any hopes to make it into top 32 battles. As he comes down the stretch.
Oh, what a little waver there from Gates.
Just looked like an unnatural kind of entry.
Yeah,
kind of almost like he second guessed himself and backed out of it.
Oh, an understeer again. Big clutch kick to try and get the car going again.
And I think what happened on that entry, Ian, was that he positioned himself wrong. He misjudged his position. And when he went to go throw in that angle, realised that had he done so, he was going to drop a wheel off track.
Yeah, scrappy run there for Dominic Gates. Unusual. Last year, very, very good run here. He had the accident at the top of the bank, but he was looking strong in qualifying and top 32 battles last year. Not the usual Gates that we used to see. And can he top a 44 and get inside that top 32? Currently sitting in 36th position. As the scores come in, it's a 51, but unfortunately drops him into 34th.
Yeah, narrowly missing out on the top 32 spots. So it's a cutthroat sport.
It's very, it's very tight.
Especially with the level of competition that we have in the sport now at the moment. So on the line, Kirsty Witherington. Kirsty sits on a 54. She's a territory sales manager at Super Pro Europe. And Kirsty leaves the line, slams through the gears, and this looked like a very aggressive start to the run from Kirsty Witherington. Keeping on that high line, just maybe not getting deep enough into that second outer zone, but keeps it pinned. Oh.
Another driver just shutting it down. Just seems to be finding a little bit of understeer there coming off a good point.
You know what, Kirsty was on a good line, but she wasn't on a perfect line, and that's what was, I think, caused the problem. But I'm not sure if this car is running right for her. Seems to be struggling just to get, you know, fluid. And I don't know if that's going to be enough to top her first score of 54. So Kirsty heads back to the pits and she awaits her score. And again, we await to see 28th position. So she is inside that top 32. And I think she should be safe, yes, with 5 drivers remaining to complete their second run of qualifying. Kirsty will be in the show. And you know what? There'll be a lot of drivers that won't want to come up against Kirsty in battle action. She puts a lot of these drivers in their place, and on her day, certainly capable of taking it to the podium. Now, a driver on a 0 is Alexis Drew, looking to keep his championship hopes alive with a big run here now in qualifying. It has it all to do, needs to pull it out of the bag.
Yeah, definitely needs to pull it out of the bag now. Not sure what the issue is with the car, but hopefully they have it sorted, and Alexis Drew needs... Yeah, look at this, Alexis Drew found the power this time. Big flick initiation from Drew as he stands on the accelerator. Starts to smoke up the tyres in that Corbu sponsored R34 four-door. This is a good run from Alexis Drew. Talk about getting it done all in one run. Stands on the power again. Transitions back. Big angle through that second hairpin. Now, can he keep it nice and wide like Dave Egan was asking for? And he can.
He certainly can. And you know what? Alexis Drew collecting all of those clipping points as he made his way around the circuit, finishing it in style as well, Ian. You can see the remnants of the smoke still on the circuit, and could we have a contender for the top spot is the only question that remains, but certainly a good score, good enough to get himself into the mix. A 78.7, enough for 11th position coming in from the judges. So 79, 78 and 79. Alexis Drew is where he needs to be.
So we go back to the line for Hayden Cruikshank. Hayden Cruikshank sitting on a 57.
Yeah, now this is a very important, sits in 4th position in the championship, and he will want a good result in qualifying to bump himself up the order. We do say that the higher up you qualify, you qualify the potentially easier run that you should get through into in the battles from top 32 all the way to those final spots. And Hayden Cruikshank needs to put some scores on the board here this weekend to keep those title hopes alive. All to play for here after round 1 in the British Drift Championship. We are of course only at the Pro-Am level of the competition, and Cruikshank crosses the line. Another good run from him. That one I think could have been good enough to improve on that 57.
Yeah, you know what, for me, Hayden Cruikshank really now come alive when he's come into the British Drift Championship. Looked like he was kind of stuck in Drift Cup, a big car, big horsepower, didn't suit the smaller technical tracks that they set up at Drift Cup. He's come to BDC and he's kind of come alive, if you like. And yeah, 61, look at that.
61.7. And then Drift Cup, do they run a tyre? Is there a tyre rule?
No, there's no tyre rule. Not like the IADC where they're limited on tyre. They can run whatever they like, any size, any diameter. And yeah, but it's just for me, the bigger tracks suited Hayden's driving. And look at that, yeah, finds himself 4th in the championship so far. We move it to the line. We see Oliver Bolton.
Yes, just 3 drivers remaining to take it to the circuit. A 76, an 80 and an 81 respectively they've scored. Oliver Bolton, a 76, wants to improve on that. What can the Funk Motorsport driver do? Look at that in really fast. Oh, carries too much. And far too much. The Funk phenomenon, Ollie Bolton, taking it off track. And you know what? Again, knew we were going to have to pull something special out of the bag to try and top qualifying. Not to be on this occasion, but a 76, enough to get him in the show. And Oliver Bolton will be back in top 32 later on this afternoon as we see 2 drivers remaining. There you can see it if you're watching at home on the screen. The score dropping in, an official from the judges, a 0 on the board. Now, Alistair Sutton and Lee Scott remain. Sutton on the line. Alistair Sutton on his first run scored an 80. Dead.
Currently in 10th.
Currently sits in 10th position. Lawrence sits in first position with an 87.7. Nobody, interestingly enough, breaking into the 90s. Only 2 drivers remaining with an opportunity to do it. What can Alistair Sutton do as he awaits instructions from our marshals to release the line? And he is go through the chicane just to mimic what the lead driver will be doing in the battles. Slams it through the gears, positioned himself nice and tight to that left side, and nice entry. No wheel drops, keeping it high on the bank. Look at the angle as well that Alistair Sutton carries through that first corner in.
Yeah, very, very nice from Sutton. Completely drops clipping point 3 though, and he just doesn't have the pace in that car to keep it going all the way down the bank. But
yeah, too much angle, not enough space to keep that car flowing out to that outer section.
But looking good as he takes it through clipping point 6 and across the line, just on the inside of the track though, not what the judges wanted to see, but I think he'll be happy.
And it's obviously, we're in the tower watching it on the live stream monitor, so a different view to those of you who are in attendance. But of course, if you are watching at home, you do share the view that we have, and it's maybe not as clear that what line the guys are taking as they cross the line. And look at this, a 64 for Alistair Sutton means he stays where he is, 10th position with an 80 after his first run. So an 80 only good enough for 10th position, which leaves 1 driver remaining. The man that has not been out-qualified and not been beaten in battle this year in IDC or BDC. At the moment, he sits in 6th position. He needs to go 87.7 or better if he wants to top qualifying. Will we see the undefeated streak continue? Here we go. Lee Scott takes the circuit, drops a wheel on entry in.
Yeah, big flick initiation from Scott, but he gets nice and high on the bank, keeps those wheels way inside those 3 lines. Can he make this top qualified?
Oh, and a big shutdown and error from Lee Scott, and not looking as comfortable as we've seen him in the past. And I wonder, is there problems with this car? So a lot of mechanical issues earlier on, and I wonder are any of those just resurfacing? He just doesn't look as fluid and as comfortable as we've used to seeing him. Very limited practice as well, it's worth noting as well this morning. But he is in the game.
Yeah,
he scores a 0, 81, so the streak ends.
Yeah, so
the
Lee
streak
Scott
ends for Lee Scott.
So that's it for qualifying, ladies and gentlemen, here at round 2 of the British Drift Championship Pro-Am competition. Eddie, some very, very good qualifying. Ricky Lawrence taking that top step in qualifying. I mean, if that's anything to go by, a lot of drivers, I mean, that top 10 all kind of in the 80s. So competition later on, top 32 is going to be very, very close.
Yeah, I think what I've taken most from the qualifying this morning is there's a lot of consistency.
Yeah.
And, you know, a 20-point gap in qualifying can be completely removed if two guys are going up against each other and one guy has done 2 or 3 consistent runs in the 60s as opposed to one guy who's put in 1 run in the 80s.
Yeah.
Mentally, that consistency is very, very important. But that leaves it with just the exciting aspect of the competition left to go. Battle action. We will be back. We'll just go through our qualifying standings. In first position was Ricky Lawrence with an 87.7, huge run from him. Ryan Caldwell in second position with an 87. Callum Marshall 84.7 in third position. Fourth for Matt Walker. Fifth for Ian Rutherford. Sixth Lee Scott, surprisingly. Seventh Richard Dalby Smith. Josh King in 8th position. William Hanna takes 9th. 10th for Alistair Sutton. In 11th position was Alexis Drew. 12th for John O'Hare. 13th Neil Bamford. 14th Paul Cunnington. 15th Jolene MacDonald. 16 Oliver Bolton. 17 Philip Hayden. 18 Andy Sykes. 19 Lee Lawrence. 20th for Stu Jones. 21st Tomas Falvey. 22nd Lewis Mitchell. 23rd Ryan Cooper. 24th Hayden Cruikshank. 25th Justin Griffiths. 26th for Stuart Egdal. Daryl Jones in 27th position. Ryan Toporowski in 28th. 29th for Kirsty Witherington. Jonas Lund in 30th position. 31st for Carl Farrar and Damien Wilkinson scraping in 32nd position, rounding out your top 32. We will be back at
3 p.m.
3 p.m. local time.
Yeah, so we'll be back at 3 p.m. with our top 32 competition. We will go all the way from top 32 to the podium. From me and Eddie and the rest of the crew, we will see you back at 3 p.m. for top 32.
I've chosen to use VP racing fuel since I was a teenager racing motocross, which was 21 years ago now.
I've been using VP racing fuel for years, basically ever since I built my first race car, and you want to get that consistent fuel, it was VP through and through.
Absolutely,
right from the
that's the brand. Yeah, I've been using VP probably since I was 10 years old racing dirt bikes. There's so many different VP racing fuels to choose from. One of the best go-tos is definitely C16.
So we use C16 in our Formula Drift cars.
I run C16 in all my cars outside of this one here. The 2 race cars here at the track, we run the C85.
And my supercharged Coyote-powered Mustang that's over in Europe, we use MS109.
In a Ferrari car, I actually run MS109.
VP has been making racing fuel for 43 years. They're the official fuel of multiple top series globally. No matter where we are in the world, no matter what fuel we need, it's always consistent, it's always perfect and exactly what we're expecting and our tuners expecting. They support myself, my Drift Alliance bros, and for that, I'm extremely thankful. Keep making amazing fuels, and we'll keep out there having fun.
There's a reason that half the paddock, if not more here, runs Samco hose, and that's that nobody wants to be let down by a split water hose or a split boost hose. And with Samco, there's nothing to worry about.
With using these hoses, we get the reliability, they never burst, we can just rely on them, and that's all we need.
half of the grid are running Semco hoses in their cars, and there's a reason for that. They're the best in the business.
I'm so happy to be running Samco hoses now, because in the past we have run other manufacturers' hoses and we have had the intercooler pipes collapsing, which obviously when you're under massive pressure on track, you have to be fully supportive and reliant on your hoses.
So a lot of people ask us over the years, you know, what hoses you run. Personally, I can't think of anything better than Samco. They do what they say on the tin, they work, they don't come loose, they don't fail on you, they don't pop. You can't beat Samco.